you didn't have your headphones on
No, I'm
while
sorry.
the theme was playing.
I was entranced here
and
reading this history on the Washington Post of Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off a bat.
Okay, yeah, no, we've all been there.
We were going to
More
start.
important things, yeah.
I was going to start asking, was it a bat or a dove?
What was it?
I always heard bat.
Now I can
Yeah.
answer the question.
I mean-
it was in fact a bat.
Yeah, I mean, it was always a bat.
Was it?
I don't know if there was some urgent, or if that was part of the urban legend that maybe it wasn't, but it was always he bit the head off a bat. Was always the way I heard it.
I had heard a bird for years.
Huh.
If you Google it, bat is the first suggestion, but dove is the second. So
I mean, maybe he's done
Berenstein Bears.
both.
that's been out there. I was going to poll you guys to see what you thought it was, but now I just have the answer here.
This is the one case where it is bat.
Okay.
The only case.
In bat versus dove.
Yeah.
The only time bat is the
Yeah.
winner.
The only time bat wins.
If he had bit the head off of a ball joystick, then we would really have some topical
That would-
synergy
whoa.
going.
Yeah, I would watch Oswald Osborne bite the head off a joystick. Because that would be fucked up.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's hard. It's a
Metal
lot
or
harder than
plastic or,
like
yeah.
bone you can crunch through if
Yeah.
you're really
Oh yeah.
getting in
You
there.
need to get like a hyena to give it a try or something.
But metal.
All right. Well, I missed the beginning of the podcast. All right, help me out here. Hey, it's
It's podcast
Tuesday.
night.
I need
Yeah.
no. I need help here. Hey, it's Mortal Kombat Tuesday.
That's right.
11
Mortal Kombat
day.
2 is out.
Is that what they used?
What? No, Mortal.
they-
It
did
was
they-
Mortal Monday,
I know. That's what I'm trying to come up
And
with
it-
our iteration of
but
Mortal
it was
Monday here.
Sonic Tuesday.
Right. Did Mortal
Sonic
Kombat 2
2.
not have anything?
I might have also just had Mortal Monday. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, anyway, whatever day it is, it's Giant Bombcast.
that's right.
There's new Mortal Kombat out.
How you guys doing?
All right.
Good. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello,
Good.
everyone.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hi.
Jan, Jeff, Ben, me.
Yes.
Yes.
That's all of us.
That's all of us.
Who's
That's
Brad?
all of us.
Jason's not here.
That's right.
I'm Ben.
I'm Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm Jan.
Hey, together.
We form.
We form most of the usual cast of the Giant Bombcast.
Exactly.
room
Yes.
full of people.
Here
We're
to-
missing the right arm today.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Jason, canonically, our Voltron right arm.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two players of Mortal Kombat 11.
True.
You're just going to have to go it alone
I guess so.
this week.
Yeah. I've played a lot of that game.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How is it?
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It is marred by something of a black cloud hanging over it.
Oh, no.
I think I know that cloud.
Oh, no.
But it is.
Hey, wait, real quick. How do you spell cloud?
I'm spelled with a C because I'm serious here, man.
Shit.
Yeah. I think it's maybe. I think it's the best game they have made in the modern era.
Okay. Starting with 9.
Starting with 9.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's. I think it's a really good balance of like. There are high-level options for players who need them, but I think this is like a better like low to mid-level game also.
You mean just in the fighting
Yeah,
system?
in terms of like, how approachable it is,
Okay.
how focused on execution it is. Like
How much content is in there that's not necessarily
Exactly.
just 1v1ing
Yeah.
human?
and a lot of that is the same as it's been for the last few, you know,
Okay.
even the Injustice games and stuff in terms of like they've got the towers, which is their kind of multiverse rotating, modifier thing. They've got their cinematic story mode, which is roughly it's the same approach that
structure.
they've taken for the past handful of games. But I think the fighting system is really approachable,
Okay.
and smart. They kind of entice you to use all parts of it in a way that I think the previous games don't always do, because you've got options about like, oh, do I want to use my meter a lot for smaller things or save it up for the big thing? They've split all that apart in a way that like, oh, I want to use the big thing as my comeback mechanic, but I've also got these other little options. And I think that's really smart. It's got a really tremendous tutorial that I think is really great at getting people, at least like walking them through what the options look like.
That is really good to hear, not to get ahead of ourselves, but as someone who went through the Mortal Kombat X tutorial last night,
Yeah.
trying to catch up on the series,
Yeah,
this sounds really appealing because that game I found to be kind of overwhelming.
Sure, yeah. And
They throw a lot at you very quickly in that tutorial.
well,
So
this is definitely like,
Is this better?
It's dense in that it is throwing terminology at you.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely like, but it's walking you through like it's showing you what to do, but also paying some attention to why you might want to do it. So when you get through the initial tutorials and get onto the character tutorials, it actually walks you through like 10 or 11 of a character's moves. Not just like, hey, you can throw a spear, but like, hey, this kick hits low, it's safe on block, it does that, you know.
Yeah, it runs down basically, it kind of, the first 2 tutorials are like, here's what it means when a move has like high recovery. It means you're vulnerable for a longer time after the move comes out.
That's already more context than the X tutorial.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when you start doing the moves, it's like, okay, this is one of those moves with high recovery we talked about, or low startup, you know, it's safe on block. And it at that point, you kind of know what these terms mean. And these are terms that every fighting game uses.
Totally.
So like you could use this to
that sounds really useful.
parlay out.
I think it's really great at that stuff. Like, you know, hey, we're going to walk you through what a frame trap is, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to start doing them all the time, but at least I understand the concept now, which before I was a little hazy on it. So I think that stuff's really smart. The story mode I think is incredible. I really liked this story. In terms of like, so I don't know that I realized when you think about 9 and you think about X, they're 2 very different games.
Yeah.
Like tonally, the playable characters, the focus of the narrative, all that stuff is so different that I didn't really connect them in a meaningful way. It was just like, oh, well, you know, yeah, I mean, 9 led to X, but there's enough time between them that it's not really, you know, it's its own thing.
Yeah. But there are very direct consequences of 9.
Absolutely,
right off the bat. Like,
I mean, one is a sequel to the other, but
right.
it's you know, tonally it's so different that it's like, you know, they didn't link up in like hugely meaningful ways. When I look back on it, and 11 actually brings those 2 games and those 2 tones of like the rough and tumble nostalgia, let's have a good time, Mortal Kombat of 9, and the yo shit is fucking real here of X.
Yeah.
Like they bring that together really well here.
That's good to hear.
In really direct ways. I mean, you know, it's a big time travel story, so they're literally like, you know, one of the first things they do is they bring a bunch of MK2 era characters, versions of those characters forward in time. And that's
to meet their older selves.
Exactly, yeah. Right. So like, and you know, it's made good trailer fodder and all that shit. But
it
actually
also is a good way to get a lot of costumes in that game.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's something they've been doing a good job of in all 3 of these games.
Yeah.
Like, so we played through a bunch of the 9 story on a stream last week, and then I went and finished the rest of that story over the weekend and started X. Even in 9, like they came up with a bunch of one-off costumes that made sense in the story that aren't really that important, but it's like, oh, here's human Cyrax before he became a cyborg for one fight.
Right.
But we did the work to make him look that way.
Yeah.
Because it's important to the story. That stuff is cool.
Yeah, that stuff's really nice.
But you're right. Like, 9, I've only played the first couple chapters of 10 last night, or X, but the biggest difference to me is that 9 knows it's ridiculous.
Right.
And X seems to take itself a little too seriously.
X is about those 4 characters. Yeah, totally. I mean, you know, it is. And X is about those 4 characters. It is about, you know, Cassie and Jackie and Takeda and whoever the fucking
Kenshi.
Yeah.
Or you know what? I think another way to put it is that 9 knows that Johnny Cage is an asshole.
Right.
X kind of thinks he's cool.
So
9's more like the movie.
11 is really good because you get those 2 Johnny Cages interacting.
Okay.
With each other. Okay. You know, and it's like a fun time travel story in all those dumb ways that time travel stories can be dumb and fun.
That sounds good.
But also shit is real.
Okay.
Do any of the movie versions time travel in?
No.
Okay.
Oh wait, well, is Shang Tsung in the story mode at all?
He is,
because that is a movie version.
Yeah,
no,
he is not the canonical version of Shang Tsung is the movie.
The first time you go to the Krypt, he shows up and
okay.
says like, "Hey, I'm here. What's up?"
I watched that movie last night. Still holds up.
Wow.
Still holds up.
Okay,
but Space Jam doesn't for you.
No.
Okay.
It's just the lighting, the clouds.
You should consider that maybe Space Jam was never good.
Yeah,
that it actually does hold up because it was always bad.
Whereas Mortal Kombat was always good.
Mortal Kombat was always good.
Was the second Mortal Kombat good?
No,
it was not.
No, it was terrible.
Because as a kid, I liked that one.
Oh man,
I don't know.
I mean, it had an animality in it. I guess.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
it was turned into a dragon.
Yeah,
this did have that fucking terrible CG reptile who was like a chameleon who like was Beast Wars level quality CG.
Pretty early CG to be fair. Is that movie streaming anywhere?
I rented it on Amazon.
Okay.
Paid $4 to watch the Mortal Kombat movie in 2019, and
money
you know
well
what?
spent.
Worth it.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Mortal Kombat 11 is my Avengers Endgame, I guess. Like, I don't give a shit about that movie, but like I get it. Like this kind of brings it all together.
Of all the long-running epic storylines wrapping up in the next week or two,
this is the one that matters.
the one that I care about.
Fuck that other
sure.
shit. This is the one that actually matters.
Is it?
And there were great moments along the way.
Is it a definitive ending to this trilogy?
It's definitely it was definitely like a hey, by the way, this was a trilogy, which is something I didn't necessarily think of going in. But like, yes, not the 9, 10, 11 is certainly treated as a trilogy, and I think it leaves it off in a really interesting spot where it's like they could. I won't get into specifics, but they could literally do anything from here, and that's really exciting. Okay. Anything up to and including never making another Mortal Kombat again to immediately making another Mortal Kombat. Like it's yeah. There's a lot of potential there that I really appreciated a lot of the moments along the way. The story is really fantastic.
That's cool. Like it's impressive that they have people talking about the story mode in a fighting game.
Totally.
In a really passionate way.
Yeah. It's
because who does that?
It's awesome. It's really great.
It's like the number one reason I want to play the game is to see the story.
Yeah.
That's crazy to say about that kind of game.
Yeah. And I think I think the fighting's really good. I think the game feels similar to, like if you've played other NetherRealm games, like it's not going to be a huge surprise, like just the pacing and timing of it. But there are a lot of, changes that might seem subtle in terms of like, oh, well, it's not really a run. You don't run, you dash more. So the moves feel more deliberate. The combos feel more attainable. And it feels like a game where you could reach a slightly higher level than maybe you could in some of the previous games.
Okay.
Because of just the better tutorial and just like the things you want to.
You don't
practice
have to go to
like
you don't necessarily right out the gate have to have a wiki open.
No.
Like off to the side, which is how I kind of approach most fighting games because the tutorials aren't always great.
It's very much something that you can get out of that tutorial and get a few fights in and go like, you know what? I bet I could actually I bet I could figure out here are the combos I want to go to. Here are the things I want to like hit confirm into. And,
it'll also probably help you
when to stop
realize what you're doing wrong. Like, oh, I'm throwing out too many moves that are unsafe. Like maybe I need to pull it back and go for a few more like light punishes rather than heavy commitments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you have an early main contender?
I've mostly been playing Scorpion. I like him.
He's a good ninja.
And he's back and forth. And I like the moves that I put on him also.
Oh right, yeah.
So you can.
Oh right, okay. I was about to ask if they had the variations from 10 in this, but
yeah. So every character by default has 2 variations, and I think those are the ones that are considered tournament legal.
Okay.
And so those are like the competitive sets that you can choose from when things are serious. When things are not.
And they'll have like different special moves and properties on those moves and stuff.
Yeah, it's really just like generally like special moves. So for a lot of characters, you go into a menu and there are like 8 or 9 things you can choose to put on your character. And some of them will take up, you have 3 slots to work with. Some moves will take up multiple slots if they're like good or whatever. But and some of them replace existing moves. So like for Kano, by default, he throws his knife like he's always done. He's fucking Kano.
Sure is.
But you can replace that with a move that is just straight up called Optic Blast, and he shoots a fucking laser out of his eye.
Is that just cosmetic, or does it actually?
No, it has different properties,
okay.
and I think the Optic Blast can't be amplified, so you can't spend meter.
Right.
Like you spend meter on the knife, it throws a second knife.
Sure.
2
The ultimate
knives.
follow-up.
I know. Well, this follow-up. What if there was another knife?
Is this kind of like Call of Duty create a class for Mortal Kombat?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's basically like another take on the system they've been doing for the past couple of games. Like Injustice 2 had something similar in it, and the variants used in Mortal Kombat X were, kind of a more locked down take on this.
I was going to ask, those were not customizable.
No, they're
right?
not.
They're just, you had 3 per character and you just, that's all you had.
Yeah. So this is like that, but what if you could make
flexible.
more? Yeah.
That's cool. That sounds good. And all that is, wait, hang on. Are those tied to drops?
No.
Okay.
That is all. You have all those moves out of the gate.
Okay.
Any kind of gameplay relevant stuff is just there.
Oh, you don't even have to like grind to
you don't
unlock
have to
it?
unlock shit when it comes
XP,
to like gameplay. There's like 0 gameplay.
So it's all just cosmetic stuff that's dropping?
Yeah.
But it
with exception.
Okay.
Because some of the things you can equip. So okay, each character you equip a skin, and that's that's tied to your variant. So when you create your variant, you put a skin on it, and there it is. Then you have 3 items per character you can customize. For Scorpion, it's like his mask, it's his sword, and it's the tip of his spear. And those are cosmetic. But as you play with those things equipped, they gain experience, and slots unlock on the gear.
Huh.
And you earn gems that you can put into those slots that then will have stat bonuses on them. Anything with gameplay.
You ever played Diablo?
I love Diablo.
That sounds
anything
crazy.
with anything with like a gameplay relevant stat buff. Everything I've seen so far, it has been limited to single player, or AI battles, which you can have AI fight AI. They've been doing that for a while, which is fun.
There's no like unranked online mode that stuff can come into.
No.
Huh.
Because it's stuff like, hey, you do 30% more ice damage.
Okay, that's
and you're like, okay, don't.
That sounds like that sounds large.
Yeah,
but
or you have 30% ice resist. So if you're fighting a Sub-Zero, or there's this, and some of the bonuses are like AI fight specific. Where like, hey, if you're the 3rd fighter in an AI set, you gain this bonus. And the ones that come into all modes are things, at least the ones that I've seen so far, will be things like, hey, you get 9% more coins at the end of a fight. That's stuff that works across the board everywhere.
Okay. I mean, I started to say like I don't want to play against AI, so I don't care about that stat stuff. But on the other hand,
AI
like,
stuff is not you playing it. Well, I
was gonna say like I've never done any of their tower stuff. So is that stuff actually good enough that you would want to do that stuff and use those gems?
The tower stuff is I'm really torn on it because so it has all the same systems that that Injustice had, and all the same modes, all the same stuff that Mortal Kombat X had. And so the towers are like, hey, you go into these battles and there are different modifiers. So sometimes you'll be fighting a guy and he will have the ability to make missiles appear out of nowhere and hit you.
Right.
And
a lot of wacky, like game-breaking stuff.
Right. And you can equip some of those. Those are consumable items you can choose to use in the tower also. And one of them is like, and they all like they all reference characters that are not in the game. So one of them is like, Bo Raicho rips a nasty fart and stuns your enemy. So you push up on the right stick and you hear a fart noise, and then your opponent is stunned.
Is that an actual?
That is an
example?
yeah. Wow. Yeah, totally. And so like that stuff is like fun on its face, but I think the way it's implemented is a little frustrating because you'll hit tower modifiers that are like, you get shocked every 5 seconds. So you drop your combo, you're just stunned, and it's like, that's just not fun.
Yeah.
And so then there are items that you can equip as consumables that are that will nullify or lessen the effects of some of those things. Like, oh, I'm armored, so I can work my way through that, or there's probably some that reduce shock stuff or something. So it feels like this game of like, oh, I need to get all these consumables so that I can nullify the effects of the tower just to make it a normal fight again. Or I can use the consumables to tip it in my favor. And like some of that stuff's just not that fun.
Yeah, that's strange because like immediately when you were kind of showing that off during the quick look and talking about it, I thought of the single player Smash thing where it had stage, but that was all about like you would come up to a stage with low gravity and you could equip a spirit that had high gravity. But these were all things that you unlocked by going down other routes and fighting other guys. Like these weren't one-time consumables. That sounds way less fun, kind of.
And you get so many of them. Like and the other thing is like you hear consumable and you immediately think microtransactions, but you can't buy any of those. They just drop out of the Krypt. They drop out of all of these other places. And so it's weird. A lot of people have said a lot about the currency and the grind and stuff in this game already, and they've announced that they are working to change some of that.
Is that the black cloud hanging over the game?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen like one tweet, but like, is it just overly grindy?
It is, and it's overly, and it doesn't even feel overly grindy in a way that pushes you to spend real money, because right now the only thing you can buy are time crystals, which are the premium currency, and then there are 5 items in the shop every day that you can buy with time crystals. And those will be skins, those will be taunts, like pretty meaningful stuff. And that's stuff that you can unlock through normal play. So it's really just kind of, hey, here's an early unlock of this thing if you don't want to. But that's the problem, is like there isn't always a clear path to get what you want because the towers update on timers. So it's like this tower is only here for 12 hours. You need to get here and do it if you want this reward.
Oh, do they tell you what the reward for the tower is up front?
Yeah.
Okay.
And So it'll be a case of like, oh, I really want that thing, but there's only an hour left on the timer, and might take me a little more than that to get it. So I'm not going to be able to get it at all. And then it's going to rotate out, and then hopefully eventually it will rotate back in. And
but
so
you might miss it again.
Yeah, exactly. So like everything is kind of on these timers in a way that like, just if you're just like, I just want the fucking cool Scorpion skin that I see here, because you can look at all the skins of the game. Like there's no easy way to get it. Even if you were just like, fuck it, I'll spend the money. Like that's not even an option,
because you have to wait for it to come up in the money shop.
Exactly. So it's like, it just feels like there's no cohesion to their economy. And so they've built a lot of the game. They've reinforced the economy in the game by making a lot of it have server checks and like, you got to be online to get these rewards. And, in the past, they straight up, in Mortal Kombat X, like they had the start of this in a way that was like pretty disappointing at the time, where they added easy fatality tokens. And at the time, I remember being like, this is like so against what Mortal Kombat has always been in terms of like, you're trading moves lists and all this other stuff.
Bringing a printout to the arcade.
Yeah.
Which I totally did.
But and then it had a thing where it's like, hey, just buy everything in the crypt for $25, which is too much money.
Yeah.
For a thing that's not that hard to, you can unlock everything in the crypt in Mortal Kombat X. You can finish the story and through normal play you would get there. But the crypt here, it's a bummer, because I think it's the coolest mode they've made for that stuff in a long time. Like you're running around, like it's a third person thing now.
You like pick a character going in?
No, it's I don't know who this character is. If it's like I'm wondering if it's like Shujinko, who was like the player character in. Anyway, I don't know. And like the first thing you get is Shao Kahn's hammer, and then you get Scorpion's spear, and like you use it to navigate Shang Tsung's island to get around, and you see all these cool areas, and you're like, oh, this is this stage from Mortal Kombat
like
1.
Classic
Like,
areas.
It's the island from the
Oh
movie.
my god,
Yeah,
that sounds so exciting.
And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the rewards out of the chests seem random now. It used to be that like you would say,
locked, right?
Here are the 10 chests you definitely want,
because they were
So
all
run
locked positions, right?
Exactly. And there are chests in locked positions, but also you can relock the chests. You can spend money to rewind time to relock the chests so that you can spend money to open them again
and get something different.
Yeah.
So they're just
so
loot boxes this time.
Kind of
Randomized.
I mean, they're loosely randomized, yeah, and
that's not surprising at all. Like that's kind of
well, I
but
mean,
like
the last
but it
crypt
ruins
was-
the last crypt was not that, and this kind of ruins the fun of like, I'm gonna get everything there is out of the crypt.
Oh yeah. I don't disagree. I'm just not at all shocked that they went this direction.
Yeah,
of course they did.
And so it's really disappointing. Because I think it kind of hangs that cloud over the crypt, which was like one of the coolest things that they have done in Mortal Kombat, is like when they moved all the unlockable stuff, like, oh, it's this weird crypt, and if you know what to open, you might find the cool shit. And now it's like, hey, because
that's like another secret to share.
Yeah,
basically.
And now it's more like, hey, there are like 3 types of currencies that you can use to open different types of chests while you're running around this crypt, and one of them is hearts, and it seems like the primary source of hearts is doing fatalities, which seems to get you 1 heart. And it costs 250 hearts to open the heart chests.
Wow.
And I've opened a few of them because you get that currency through normal play in some other ways too. Sometimes you'll get like 15 for finishing a tower, or I think you get a bunch for doing story mode. But I still, like, there's a bunch of these chests. And so that's the sort of thing that, like, they can lower the numbers on that, and that's what it sounds like when they're out there talking about, oh, we're gonna hotfix the economy, we're gonna make some changes. We hear you, we hear your feedback. Like, that only goes so far, because at the core of it, they've more or less sullied the crypt, and made it this different thing that is now subject to all of this grind.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, you can't buy that currency. I can't go buy hearts. So you can't spend money to get around it even. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't feel like a closed loop of a system. Like, the grindy part that people are complaining about is just frustrating. It doesn't even feel like it's in service of the real money shop, because the real money shop is bad. You can only buy 5 items, and it's on a rotation,
right?
And you don't know which chest has what in it in the crypt anyway.
Exactly. If I'm grinding for something specific, I'm gonna have a lot less of a bad time than if I'm grinding for a random loot box.
Yeah, and so then you're grinding your way through the towers. those will list specific rewards. Like, hey, if I do this, I get this.
How long is that? What is it, like an hour-ish to get through a tower?
There
Or does it
are
depend?
it depends. You know, it's usually a series of towers. So one I did yesterday, I think it was 4 separate towers, but one was 2 fights, one was 5, one was 8, and then one was 1 fight against a hard opponent, like sort of a boss. And then I did all that, and I got a Sub-Zero skin, and I was like, "Yay, cool!"
Can you fail out of that process, or can you keep continuing?
You can quit.
Until
You can keep continuing.
Okay,
There's
it's not like
there's
a-
a higher difficulty tier that will fail you out if
Okay.
if you lose, but I think that's optional.
So
And then,
Krypt,
then there are character-specific towers also that you have
Okay.
to spend 25,000 of the low-level coins to even open up. So it's just they've put all these hooks. Like it's a game full of money sinks that I just don't think needs that.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no real harm in giving people clearer ways to unlock the stuff they want, while still saying, hey, if you don't want to do that stuff, you can give us money for the skins. Like I think that's a fairly acceptable practice. You know, Apex is more or less. Well, I guess you can't really buy the crafting shards in Apex, so you can't.
No.
So maybe you
you
can't
have
really.
to. You have to.
you
Same
can't
thing there.
quite
You
do
have
that.
to.
You have to buy the
wait.
boxes.
Yeah,
Or
and
wait.
it has a rotating
Right.
store.
Or
Yeah,
wait
yeah.
for the thing you want to come up.
Huh. So I guess maybe they did that because that's
It's
the norm.
it's the
but
new norm.
but I feel like you know.
Don't worry, DOA is still selling costumes.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Dead or Alive.
You got $300.
Sure. Give me the wedding outfits, those sexy wedding outfits.
That's implied.
Okay. Sorry.
So
So it's just it's frustrating
Yeah,
to
so-
see like that whole like larger part. You know, aside from the story mode, like that's the bulk of the single player content that you would play alone is tied up in all of this stuff. It's really mired in all these currencies and all this stuff, and with the modifiers in the tower sometimes being kind of a hassle. Then that feels like, oh, well, now I need to get these consumables to lessen the hassle of these fights. And that doesn't feel great all the time. So
Yeah.
it feels messy at the end of the day. Like I think a lot of that stuff just feels like really all over the place. And it doesn't feel like this holistic, like intelligently designed system. It feels like they just threw in a bunch of money sinks and you know, you can kind of buy some stuff over here, but you can't buy your way out of the grind ever.
setting aside the money shop, are predefined rewards in the towers and loot boxes in the crypt the only 2 ways to get drops? Like, there's no other activities that will drop.
You're not like
Like-
getting a random loot box every time you win 5
Yeah,
games
yeah,
online.
yeah, like-
AI
like on-
battles.
okay.
You can get 10 boxes a day or 10 sets of drops per day out of the AI battles.
Huh. Wait, are those are separate from the towers?
Yes,
Those
because those are your AI fighting against other AI.
You assemble a team and you kind of tweak their behavior patterns so you can do like, you know, the stats break down to like offense, defense,
Combos,
special,
reversals,
like
so
the
you
Assassin's
just-
Creed Brotherhood.
Yeah, like you kind of set up
combat,
like a rush
team.
down configuration.
Do you have to
and
sit and watch the fights play out, or do
You can
just, like-
fast forward them.
Okay.
So and also you will get attacked while you're not playing. And so
Huh.
basically every time you come back, you can hit a button and it'll give you your 5 things for the day because, you know, 5 other fighters have found you and fought you or whatever.
That's basically just an incentive to like log in every day.
Pretty
and-
much.
Okay. Is there anything?
There are
similar?
also daily rewards or daily quests that show up. It'll be like, you know,
Okay.
win 5 matches with Johnny Cage.
Okay,
And you can go knock that out anywhere across the game.
I see.
Uh,
And that generates rewards.
10,000 of the base level currency
Okay.
for each one of those.
Huh. Okay.
Which is not a ton. Some of those chests cost like 12 grand to open.
Does any of that tie up into? Is there any kind of equivalent of the faction war from X? Like
No,
a
they have something
overarching
called
online stuff.
I think it's called Race Against Time, Race for the Tower. It's so there isn't one running right now. They had one running pre-release, and so there'll be a leaderboard for tower score. So any towers you play while this competition is going contributes to that score. And then they break it down. Like if you're in the top 5% of scores, you get all the rewards. If you're in top 25, you get 3 out of 4. Top 50, so you're kind of able to contribute there and do stuff. That to me is kind of similar to the faction war stuff, but it doesn't just have the faction war stuff per se.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the game a lot. I think it looks fantastic. I think it is a ton of fun. I think the fighting systems and stuff are really, really smart. I think the changes they made, even over like Injustice 2, which is, you know, it's kind of a different thing, but just the approach they've taken here, I think is the best work they've done in a long time.
Just in the terms of the core fighting.
Yeah. And I think the story is amazing. Like I really had just a fantastic time watching it unfold.
That sounds super exciting.
And then all this other stuff is just kind of wrapped up.
Leaves a
in,
bad taste in your
Yeah.
That's
mouth, it sounds like.
unfortunate. I mean, it sounds like practically every other game like this, they will massage it out over time, hopefully.
We'll see, because that's the thing. They were very quick. I think even yesterday, technically before the game was out, they were like, "Hey, we're looking to adjust this stuff."
So, I mean, it's hard to say without knowing what they're going to do, but would you almost recommend like people not spend any of their currency until
totally.
they make those
because
changes?
they're probably going to lower the cost of stuff.
Or even worse, do you think you'll maybe start getting more rewards? So you should just wait to play the game at all until that stuff goes in?
No, the
Like, if
rewards
it's
you get for
like-
leveling up and stuff, I bet won't change.
Or like
much.
currency that comes out of the story mode or anything
I
like
bet
that?
they won't.
Because like it would be a huge bummer to play through the story mode and then the next day they're like, hey, we doubled the amount of coins you get out of the story mode or something like that.
I bet they'll just lower prices and then also maybe give people, here's 50,000 coins.
Okay,
or
yeah,
whatever.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
they have to
they
be
can-
smart enough
they can
not
even
to,
it out that way.
not to screw over the early adopters.
But yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, that's kind of
because
unfortunate.
like you see it and you go like, if this was just, and that's why I don't think like them adjusting the numbers will have like a dramatic impact on my feelings on this, because even if it was easier to unlock more of it, like that's fine, but it's still
randomized.
Yeah, like the Krypt is still in service of this system, whereas before it felt like its own cool thing. Now it really feels like, hey, we would like to build this big money sink, and maybe you buy stuff in the store, or even though the store is not good.
I really want to run around that island though.
It's cool. It's like that's kind of the other thing is like the Krypt itself, like running around Shang Tsung's island and seeing like these renditions of these MK1 stages and stuff. It's awesome.
Like messing with the 9 and 10 Krypts over the weekend, like they're fine, but they're just kind of generic graveyards or whatever. Like
totally.
for this to be like nostalgic,
in
nature,
it's super well done.
Is awesome.
And that's I think why it's maybe even more of a bummer that it's kind of wrapped up.
I also, thanks to our moderator Marino, I ended up on an archive of rat.org over the weekend.
Oh wow!
So that is just a huge reminder of how much like trading secrets and passing around like urban legends has been a part of Mortal Kombat for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, to lose that aspect of it is a real shame.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've done some minor stuff where like, every character has 2 like normal fatalities. The first one is listed in the move list right out of the gate. The second one is not. If you find it in the Krypt, that makes it show in the move list.
Okay, but you can still do it.
You can still do it if you know it. And I want to say, I should go back and check, but I'm pretty sure if you did the move in X, even though you hadn't unlocked it, it just started showing it on the move list after that.
Okay.
This does not.
Oh, weird.
So you always have to memorize that second fatality input.
It's got to print out your move list.
I guess so. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, there's still value in printing out a move list because they don't tell you what all the brutalities are either. It sounds like that there will be some brutalities you can only do after a mercy, which is, potentially exciting.
Have there been any friendships in any of these 3 games, the most recent ones?
Yeah.
What about babalities?
There's babalities. They did babalities.
That was always
Animalities?
No. I don't.
How do you not have
are there friendships in 9?
No, I don't think so. I don't know for sure, but I don't remember there being.
Yeah, friendships are cool because they're unique, and babalities
are
just
the same thing every
not
time.
that cool because it's just the same thing every time. Yeah.
Where's Kid Thunder?
Where is Kid Thunder? That's a great question. Where? Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Evil Kid Thunder.
All right, my last question, I think. Again, having played through these other games, I found 9, like even I haven't played it in like 8 years. It was super approachable. We started playing it on that stream the other day.
Yeah.
Like you've got a sweep, you've got an uppercut.
Totally.
You know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as I played Katana, I was able to do like raise into jump punch, fan throw, square punch, almost out of muscle memory.
Yeah.
I started playing 10 or X last night, and like it's hard to put my finger on, but it doesn't have that same sort of natural fluidity to me. It's got a stiffness to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played those games recently.
I haven't played X in a long time.
Back to back, like literally starting X like as soon as I finished 9.
Yeah.
Like there's just something that's not quite as snappy and familiar about X.
I think a lot of it is, I think X pushed in the direction of you amplifying the moves to get the thing you think you want out of it. And this has a little bit of that too, where if you want a move to extend a combo and all that other stuff, you usually want to use like the EX or the amplified version of it.
Or you want to chain it out of the normal attack
Yeah,
that it works with and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so this is similar in some ways that like if you only played original like old Mortal Kombat, like some of this stuff you just look at it and go like, man, this doesn't even do what I want it to do anymore. Like Scorpion Spear is a great example. So Scorpion Spear, classic spear. He pulls you over there. He says, get over here. You do what you want. He's stunned. You hit him. By default here in 11, and I think X was the same way, when you pull him over there after the spear, there's an automatic follow-up attack that knocks him over.
Okay.
If you do the amplified version of the spear, that's the thing that brings him over and lets you do what you want.
Huh.
So you have to expend meter to extend combos. And that's the philosophy they go with throughout a lot of the moves. Like, hey, this move is going to be an ender to a combo, but if you amplify it, it might pop him back up. It might, it might be enough in there for you to get one more punch or, juggle him here or do this.
Evolving systems, I think I'm fine with. As long as it feels good. I think it's more of an issue of feel for me.
Yeah, I think it feels. I like the way it feels. Okay, but also I can't remember if I had that issue with X or not, so I can't tell you necessarily if it's different from that. Okay. But I think the game flows really well. With some characters better than others, and maybe that's more just I am better at Scorpion than I am with Collector. But also I don't think I like Collector much.
I like Collector.
Who the hell is Collector?
He's got 4 arms.
He's a new guy.
He
No, he's not.
What?
He's a different 4-armed race.
What?
He's a little scheming, little Ferengi looking dude.
He does kind of look like a Ferengi.
He's actually, he's into money.
Have they said anything about post-release characters? I know there are going to be some, obviously.
Yeah, Shang Tsung is, I believe, part of that.
Okay. Is he part of the season pass?
Yeah. So people dissected the Switch version of the game after preloads happened, and I guess found folders for like the Terminator and Ash.
Terminator has been floating around forever.
Well, that is a good one. That's a good one.
And I
say Ash.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay. I think it was in one of our live chats recently. Somebody suggested John Wick.
Oh,
yeah. It's a pretty good, inspired choice.
I don't want to see John Wick get fatality.
Oh, you're right. That's a good point.
It pretty much happens in the movies, though.
That's true.
What if fatalities just didn't work on him?
Yeah, he just gets up and walks away at the end.
So a list leaked, like whether that's the actual list that they end up going with or not, I don't know.
NetherRealms have always had kind of an issue with leaks. I feel like. I mean, I can't think of fighting games that haven't.
Capcom is
Capcom and even fighters.
Right. Yeah. And also more announcers, I guess, were referenced in some of the files and stuff too.
Because you have in Persona Arena, you can pick different there's a kind of the standard guy,
standard announcer, and then the Shao Kahn.
Is he the default in this?
The default is like classic, and then Shao Kahn is the one you unlock for completing all the tutorials.
Okay, but it's new Shao Kahn voice.
Yeah, it is. I don't like it.
I've never. It is a pale imitation of the 2 and 3 voice.
Yeah.
I don't know what that guy is doing.
Well, that's the thing. Is like the Shao Kahn voice in the story is also not the announcer voice in this game.
Okay.
So
is he not to keep just asking a million questions? Is he in the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Shao Kahn is like the pre-order bonus character. So yes.
Okay. Are they also selling that character?
Yeah, it's $6 if you didn't pre-order the game.
Okay.
And then you get Chronica, who is the new
villain
boss. I think she's an announcer that you will get for like linking to the mobile version of the game, but like the mobile version hadn't updated to allow for that as of this recording. And then there is a reference to like a potential if those leaks are legit and it's just pictures of a fucking directory. So what the fuck? I don't know. I didn't go pull apart a copy of the game for myself. There's a reference to a Johnny Cage announcer pack, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
he sucks, but yes,
he sucks. It's so good.
So that's weird. They're kind of going the Dota route almost. Yeah. Announcers and I think I saw in the beta character intros.
Yep,
are equipable and stuff like that.
Equipable intros and taunts and stuff like that.
So it's not just cosmetic. Like clothing, it's like personality driven, kind of flavor stuff. That's cool.
But the pre-matchup quotes you get out of the fighters, like they've written multiple versions of this character fighting this character dialogue.
Wow. That's cool.
So like when Johnny Cage fights Sonya, there are multiple things you will hear pre-fight. and Johnny Cage's are probably the best because they're just the dumbest. And a lot of them are just like fucking straight people, two Mortal Kombat fighters quoting movies back and forth at each other, which is real stupid. In a way I really appreciate.
In a way that if these were real people in our world, they would probably be those kinds of people.
Perhaps. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I'll say is I think Ronda Rousey's real bad in it. Like she voices.
I saw some of those scenes.
Yeah, she voices Sonya and sounds real bad.
Yeah.
She's not.
I thought she was a side character.
Sonya is not the focus of the story in this game.
Yeah, but I thought she was like a less important, less well known character. But
and they really amped up the fucking meme millennial action out of Cassie in this game in a way that I think some people will find frustrating, but it's fucking great.
Yeah,
I mean, she's the one.
Really,
she's got a social presence to keep up.
She's the one with the hard hands fatality, right?
Yeah, it's super shitty in a way that I really appreciate. Yeah. It's a really cool game.
Yeah, it mostly sounds very exciting.
Yeah, I we'll see what they changed with the economy stuff. That sounds like it'll hit today. What they're trying to.
Oh, okay.
So
it's not like a couple weeks. Or
Ed Boon was out there saying like we're talking hours, not days. Hopefully, so.
Honestly, it sounds like this game. I feel like we get the question a lot: where should I start with fighting games? Sort of like, oh, I don't know anything about fighting games. This might be a pretty good one to jump in on.
I think so. And that's, I guess that's the other thing is that like for as much as I think like some of those money sink aspects of the game are frustrating, I still think the core of what's there is really, really strong. And so, yeah, I think it is still recommendable. For those issues,
and probably by next week's podcast, we'll know how that economy is looking.
Yeah, we'll know if it's if it's better, how much better does it actually solve kind of the larger issues with it. That's kind of where I have my doubts.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Cool. Real quick, some other games to go through. Sony brought Iron Man VR through last week. We played that thing.
Yeah. We played a little bit of that.
What is that game? What do you do?
You fly around.
You're Iron Man.
Yeah.
Do you want to be Iron Man?
Yeah, actually, he's my favorite superhero.
No.
Well, you're in luck because you can be Iron Man.
What is he doing?
He's flying around.
Do you go like
shoot
lasers out of
you
your
shoot
hands?
lasers out of your hands. You also kind of boost jet out of your hands.
So it was good to play that thing because I feel like the announcement footage almost did it a disservice because it looks like a very thin experience from some of the footage they put out. But playing it, like, it requires moves.
Okay.
You can't play it with a controller. And yeah, your moves / Iron Man suit hands are your thrusters.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can point them independently, but that's how you fly. So
all right,
there is like technique to it. There's kind of technique and depth and like a skill ceiling.
You're not holding forward.
No. You're almost like turning sideways to dodge things because you're jet boosting out of the way of stuff.
I want to say, I think it was the Sony PR rep that offered this comparison that it's sort of like the jetpack from the first Pilot Wings.
Okay.
Remember that thing?
Yeah.
Except I think in that case, couldn't you only move the thrusters around one axis, forward and backwards?
Yeah.
Like here, they can move totally independently. So it's actually really disorienting at first. Like I kind of got a little woozy as I was flying way up in the sky and like trying to aim myself. Like it takes some getting used to, but once you do, like it's kind of an interesting sensation to like be steering yourself around.
It's neat.
Like that.
And then I think, it's a little weird, or I guess, because your hands are your jets and your guns, it's kind of well, I'm going to stop here and shoot for a while and then go again. And I guess in reality, you can kind of keep going with one hand and shoot with the other.
I tried to get fancy like that and could not pull it off.
I did it a little bit here and there.
It takes some...
Do you lose any forward momentum if you use both hands to start firing? Do you guys notice? Or
yes. Yeah. Because I mean, that's your jets,
not boosting
so
anymore.
you're not boosting anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then you can, presumably there's more in the full game, but you can also punch. So there'll be some things
like a dash punch kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are Marvel Cinematic Universe experts.
Oh,
Do you know like who's Iron Man fighting? Like where does this?
I don't think they would say like who the villain is.
This isn't like a movie or anything.
No,
it is. I think it seems like it's very much in the I know they're different companies, but the Spider-Man PS4 or the Batman Arkham Knight, where they are like not tied into any movie interpretation. They're like very much like of the comic books.
Yeah,
That's the impression I got with this, even though their voice actor sounds a little bit Robert Downey Jr.
They're definitely like pulling from like, hey, here's what you know of.
Here's a guy quipping
as
who
Iron
sounds
Man.
like.
But it is about like, hey, you put on the VR headset and you see that heads-up display, and that's it is that.
Did you say I'm bringing the party to you at any point?
No, I have not seen any of those movies.
Like this,
I quoted Mortal Kombat because that's the Mortal Kombat cinematic universe is what I care about.
I think the point where it kind of, I'm not going to say clicked, but got interesting for me is like right at the end of the demo, there are these enemies. You're flying around a plane that's crashing and you're fighting off like robot drones and stuff.
I feel like if we could remember the name of the character that took over those drones, we'd be able to tell you about the bad guy.
Yeah,
But,
there was a lady. Nope. There was a lady, I think, in a robot suit or some kind of. She like hacks.
Brainiac's a DC guy.
She hacks the plane and is taunting Iron Man.
What color armor did she have?
You don't really. It's like the video feed is very scrambled, so I don't think you can really tell.
And I guess like she's hacking Stark drones.
Yeah, you're fighting your own military hardware.
And shoot down your plane. Also, you have made Pepper Potts the CEO of Stark Industries.
Yeah,
that checks out.
She's mad without telling her.
Oh,
she's very upset at the beginning that you haven't informed her of this.
You talked to Jarvis at all?
No.
Not that I saw. But
hang on. What's Jarvis?
Jarvis is like robot Alfred.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There is a holographic lady that is doing things for you.
Okay. Didn't Jarvis become Vision, or did I?
Yeah.
I thought
in the movies.
Did I misunderstand?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not legit comic.
Jarvis was a real human being in the comics.
Oh,
yeah.
But that was once a man.
So at the end of the demo, you've been fighting these drones, but then these kind of shielded drones show up at the very end.
Okay.
And like the shield is whatever, you have to like punch them to knock the shield off so you can hurt them. But
I just dodged because they rush you, so I dodged and then shot them in the back.
Well, that's the other thing is they also spray like not bullets, but whatever their shot is, their kind of laser thing.
Yeah.
Like they just shoot this like fast barrage of shots at you, and I was like, is there some kind of counter mechanic here? Like, am I supposed to block these with my arm? And then all of a sudden I realized, like, oh wait, they just want you to point your thrusters and dodge around them.
Oh yeah, just like zip around.
Like yeah, if that makes sense. Like I was in sort of a shooting gallery mentality, and then I was like, oh wait, I actually have freedom to fly.
You're actually in a combat arena.
Well, it's like you're circle strafing around enemies, and then they rush you and you shoot them in the back. So like, is pretty much how
that was the point where I was like, all right, if the missions are broadened later in the game, because this seemed like kind of a tutorial situation, like. If you have bigger areas to move around and maneuver and
more things to deal with,
and there could be some interesting stuff to it. Yeah. I'm curious to see where they go with it.
Do they have a release for that?
I want to say it's out this year.
I think it's out this year,
but nothing more specific than that. Yeah, they're pretty cagey about that.
$1 million idea, a VR fan. So you're playing like a flight-based game, right? You just have a fan that's hooked up to the game,
in front of your head.
In front of you.
It totally exists.
Oh, it does?
It already
exists.
Oh, God damn I don't know that it bolts to the headset, but there's definitely like people that are like, hey, we put a fan into the and then they're like,
and you also have to be on a treadmill.
We released an SDK for developers to integrate our fan.
Oh man.
Who's doing no? Can we pay you to integrate our fan?
Did you see that some of the a couple of Labo VR games contraptions have that
like
built
pedal
in? There's like a pedal with a big cardboard flap.
Yeah.
Every time you like stomp down to do something in the game, it like blows a puff of air in your face.
Oh, neat!
It's a neat thing.
That stuff's that's we just need to get to like, okay, this smell cartridge activates when you go to the sewer level.
Yep. Y'all got any other games you want to talk about?
I've been playing just a little bit of a lot of things. Still checking through Sekiro, which is a lot of fun. I realized kind of my thing with those games in the past is I never quite enjoyed the Souls games as much because I was kind of forcing myself through them. But with Sekiro, I have been going at the pace of like, I play maybe a half hour every day, beat like a mini boss, and then put it down. And it's great. I love going at that game at a really slow pace. It's not burning me out at all.
They just put out a big balance patch.
Did they?
Like I didn't dig into it because I think it just came out this morning maybe or late yesterday. But the gist is basically they want people to use all of the abilities that take what's the currency? The
Spirit Emblems?
Yes. They basically sounds like they are lowering the costs of all those abilities quite a bit.
Cool.
Because they think people aren't using them enough.
I totally haven't been.
They want more variety in the combat, so they're making that stuff easier to do.
Yeah, I kind of found myself only resorting to those as like maybe this boss is weak against one of these that I haven't been using because I've died 30 times or whatever. Excuse me, but mostly I've been having a really good time lately with Risk of Rain 2, which is in early access. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast recently.
I think you were out a
maybe,
week.
I think you might have been out that week. But we talked about it a little bit. But yeah,
I've been playing a ton with it. I've gone through now and unlocked all the characters that are currently in the game. And that's a game kind of, you talk about Mortal Kombat and secrets. I feel like this is a game that is scratching that itch for me of, I could probably figure out everything on the wiki, but I'm playing this game with like the same 4 to 5 people interchanged, and none of us are looking anything up, and we're still finding new things. Like, I've just, like, the other day I fell off a cliff and I landed on a little lip of a cave, and I walked in the cave and there was this big portal, and nobody else knew about this thing, and the levels are static. These aren't randomly generated levels. So this is, and there's maybe a total of 10 of them. So we've been on this level 30, 40 times, and we found this. That game's a load of fun, especially when you really start experimenting with the other characters. I initially was kind of playing the main soldier class, just the run and gun guy. But if you spend enough time with each of the other characters, they do really feel designed from the bottom up to just be different kind of experiences. There's a melee dude that's basically Juggernaut from Dota. He has Omni Slash is basically his super. He will, become invincible and hit rapidly, and any enemies nearby kind of bouncing around between them. It's a really fun way to kind of aimlessly run around and shoot guys without having a greater purpose to things.
Finally.
Honestly, no, but it's a little refreshing.
Yeah, but having and being a multiplayer game, you're kind of hanging out, talking with friends.
Totally,
that seems
like coming
cool.
off the Division. I like the Division. I hit the level cap in it. I intend to play the raid when it comes out. But it's always kind of in the back of my mind is like, okay, I'm just doing this so I can get a new gun, or I can, and I feel like I'm on a track. With this, is just like, I don't know, I want to run around and shoot guys, and it's a game where you literally have to always be moving, which is what I love from a shooter, because there's no end game yet. It's very much in early access. They said they are going to have some end bosses eventually, but you just keep going till you die is kind of the way it is right now. And we had a run that lasted 90 minutes over the weekend, and that was a blast. Like those kind of arcadey shooters where you don't really have to. A multiplayer arcadey shooter isn't something I have had a ton of experience with, like a PvE thing. And it's cool that they're out there doing it, and it's a load of fun. I think it's totally worth checking out in its current state.
Cool.
That game seems all right. I initially was not into, or initially I was like, oh, this seems cool, but I kind of want to see it develop further, and like I wasn't quite sold on just like the 3D nature of it. Like it kind of just made me want to play Risk of Rain 1 again, which I did a bunch of, and I was like, man, this game's awesome.
Yeah. Is it still worth playing?
Yeah.
Like seeing 2, I was like, man, I bet a 2D platformer version of this would be
really
cool.
Risk of Rain is fantastic.
Check that out as something.
And it's it scratches a lot of similar itches in terms of your run. You're going to find different items and drones that really impact the variety of the experience from run to run.
Yeah.
And 2 does that as well. I think that's the thing that, like, once I saw more of the perks and stuff in 2 is when it finally started clicking. It's like, oh yeah, it has all that same stuff. That's cool.
And it's cool with those perk stuff because if you're playing with people that you can communicate with, you can kind of start organizing who's going to get what, and it makes the runs a little bit better instead of just like playing by yourself and grabbing everything, or playing with randos and everyone's just scrambling for whatever items they can grab. It's like, okay, well, no, I'm going to, like, you have really high attack speed, so let's give you all the crit upgrades, and I'm going to take all the defensive upgrades and kind of play like a tank, even though that the characters aren't necessarily built out to be these archetypes. It's just like, well, this is what I found so far, so I'm going to roll with it.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. Have you played any more Katana Zero? Have you kept up with that? I think that's out this week.
No, I kind of played through the first 4 levels of Katana Zero. It just seems a little. I wish there was just maybe one more mechanic or something. I feel like it. For those who haven't seen it, it's kind of a 2D sort of. I get very heavy Hotline Miami vibes from it. It's all about like taking out a room full of dudes. You're super weak. Like one bullet will kill you. And is
it
like Gunpoint? Did you ever play?
I never played Gunpoint. You can slow down time.
Isn't Gunpoint more of a strategy? Like, don't you set up your moves ahead of time?
Not.
Or is that?
No, not
Frozen Synapse.
Oh.
Anyway,
But yeah, so it's and my other kind of gripe with it was the aesthetic was kind of all over the place of just like, oh, it's this kind of like Drive 80s aesthetic with VHS tapes and stuff, but they don't really fully commit to it because most of the time you're just like a samurai who lives in an apartment complex, and I don't know, it was fun to play, and it was cool to like the coolest thing it has going for it actually is whenever it's very story heavy, kind of in between these missions you're doing both like stuff at your house, and then you're talking with a sort of therapist slash doctor who gives you medicine and stuff, but you can kind of, based on how long you wait for them to finish what they are saying, you can like interrupt them and say something, or you can hear them out and then you get a different dialogue option, and that seems to change the story as a whole, because I played through the same level twice, once on the quick look, and this is just the second level, but there's a woman, like you have to assassinate a dude in a hotel. And so you walk up at the front desk and there's a woman who stops you and says like, who are you? Why are you here? And you can like mash through just saying like, let me go. And I did that the first time. And then when I go in, kill the guy, come back out. And as I'm leaving, she calls the cops on me. But I went through again on the quick look and just took my time with it. I responded thoughtfully to her questions. I said I was cosplaying, and then we talked about anime. And then for some reason she didn't call the cops at me.
I would have figured like as soon as anime, it's like, okay, hang on a sec. It's just like hitting the button under the desk for help.
Press in case of anime.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It seems like it rewards maybe multiple playthroughs and stuff like that. I was talking with Austin Walker about it briefly, and we both kind of came to the conclusion that it was one of those games where we will both blow through on some weekend, like in a few months.
Right,
just
yeah.
like,
Just like, oh, right, this thing.
Yeah.
Bam. Yeah.
It's not like bad. It's cool. It's got some things going for it, but it's not like a standout experience.
Got it. Jan?
Yes.
How's your cards going?
Cards. I've drawn. I can't come up with a card pun. But Steamworld Quest is coming out this week. It's another RPG from the Steamworld universe, the cinematic Steamworld universe, the other universe I care about. And it's neat. If you've played Slay the Spire before, it's that type of card-based combat. But instead of playing as one person and having it be like run-based, you're playing through a story with 3 characters, and that kind of switches up the dynamic in a neat way, because if you can play 3 cards per turn. Some cards cost an energy that you build up by playing normal attack cards or ability cards. But if you play all cards of the same character, you get like a special bonus at the end of that turn. So you could grant shields for the rest of your team, or you get an extra attack, or you heal your party members. And it's really neat because it goes by fast, and because of the 3 different characters, you kind of have to keep in mind the 3 different decks that you're building out while you're progressing
like
through the game.
how they work together.
Yeah, because some cards synergize with specific characters. You have a party of 3, but where I'm at in the story, you have up to 5 characters that you can switch around in your party, and that's where the card mechanics start to get super, I wouldn't say complicated, but get a little bit intricate in building out and how they synergize with each other. Like in the quick look, you guys saw that one character has like these masks that he can put on, and those grant different abilities. Like his crit goes up, or he's resistant to virtually everything. And it's really neat so far. There's a couple branching paths that you can find in the world to find like different chests full of equipable items, consumable items, or other cards in the game. But I've been having a really fun time with it. It's perfect for the Switch.
Yeah, I would think so. So it's got plenty of depth for that kind of game?
I think so, yeah. What I would like in the game is maybe like an arcade mode where you're just like going against like mobs of enemies and seeing how long you can last. I've found some of the battles a little bit challenging, but if you've set yourself up for success, you can pretty much smash through or kind of cheese through some of the encounters. It does have an interesting mechanic where when you hit a checkpoint, it'll respawn all the enemies in an area. So if you're hitting a wall with a boss, you can just grind up and just get better stats and buy better cards or other equipables.
It did seem almost a little JRPG to me,
Yeah.
aside from the card stuff, like
Totally.
all the like party stuff and the way you equip items and like even the layout of the battle screen, like
Totally.
except for the fact that it's card based, like it kind of almost seemed like a JRPG.
Does it
Yeah.
feel like meaningfully? Does it feel like a meaningful part of like the SteamWorld universe? You know, like does it have that same look? Does it
Oh,
have,
totally.
Like,
It still has the same charm of like them speaking in like robot speak.
Yeah, all of the from what I saw in
Yeah.
the quick look, all the
Yeah.
robot voices sounded spot on.
Yeah, and it's written very well. Also, they'll hide in like little references to the previous games. I want to say that it's still all in the same SteamWorld universe.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember. Like Dig 1 and 2 obviously were like
sequels to
directly
each
in
other.
sequence,
Yeah.
but like Heist, I think just sort of implied that it was kind of maybe in the same.
And it's
like-
weird because like the digs are kind of like old timey, you know,
Western.
Western,
Steampunky,
Yeah.
and this
like-
is more like kind of like
This is
Robin
medieval.
Hood.
Yeah, this is very medieval. Like
Yeah.
Heist is like a space junkers,
Yeah.
like space truckers kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I've been having a lot of fun with it. I'm glad that another card game has pulled me away from Dragon Ball.
We're glad to.
Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Like, does it seem like I don't play card battling games, but does it seem like a good entry point for that style of combat? 'Cause
I think
kinda
so.
want to try it.
Yeah, since you're not going against other people, you're just primarily going up against AI, and it doesn't feel too cheap. I think this is a good entry point because there still is a lot of deck building strategy to go into it. Like I mentioned, there's separate cards that cost an energy to use, and if you just build your deck full of that, because each character only has up to 8 cards that you can use, and if you just stack your card with like heavy based cost cards, then you're just gonna get like fucked because you can't play any of them. They do also have a recycling mechanic, so say you don't like your hand, you can recycle upwards to 2 cards a turn to try and get like a chain going on with a specific character, or just cards that will work better that turn. Yeah, it's neat. So far, I think all of the card drops have been just doled out through the story. I'll find some of them, or you can craft some of them, and they've been putting that out per chapter you're in. So I don't think you're finding anything too random in it.
Cool. I think it's so cool that studio makes a different game practically every time
It's
they make
awesome.
a game.
Yeah.
But also,
it's impressive.
SteamWorld Dig is really good.
SteamWorld Dig 2 is
2 is amazing.
almost a perfect game to me. Like, I
Yeah,
cannot
it's-
think of many ways
Yeah.
that SteamWorld Dig 2 could be better than it is, but still, it's really cool to see them trying different stuff.
Mhm.
All right, I think that's it for games. That's it for games.
That's it for games.
That's it for games.
Shut it down.
All right, we're done with this
We're a Marvel podcast now.
That's right.
segment of the podcast. We'll be right back.
Don't get me started.
Buddy, do we got some news this week?
Oh boy.
Strap in.
It's gonna get hot,
Buckle
and
down.
heavy these next few weeks.
Brace yourself.
Knuckle up.
Yeah. It feels like if you make a console right now, there is news about you happening
That's right.
as E3 approaches.
So we should make a console, is what you're saying.
That's right.
We are making a console.
We should make a console.
Is it going to be
We're happy to announce.
powerful?
No.
It's just
I mean,
the box.
it'll look powerful.
Yeah,
But
like a huge box with big
It's-
fans. I
we're,
feel
proud,
like,
we're proud to announce our console will run Netflix.
oh,
Nice.
like, do we have an app for it?
No.
We're actually
think about that.
we're just rebranding a bunch of misters. Don't tell me. It's going to come loaded with 101 games though.
Ooh.
It's all the same game though.
Well,
Slightly-
there's like 4
It's like
different.
a different
Yeah.
sprite in each one of
Okay.
them.
All right.
Slightly different.
Nintendo started issuing takedowns for that Commodore 64 version of Super Mario Bros.
Oh no!
No.
For the actual file or for
Mhm.
videos
For
of
the
it?
file.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Boy, that'll be hard to get your hands on now.
I know, right?
How big is that thing?
It's 8K. I don't, not 64
Yeah.
floppy images. I think are all by default like 130 something K.
All right. Yeah, we've got news out of the gate on Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch future plans.
the Xbox One 2.
That's right. What are we calling that thing?
Two-step.
Scarlet.
I've been
I don't know,
calling
is what
it.
they're-
I've been calling it the Xbox 2 off and on.
that next Xbox.
Yeah,
The
that
next
too.
box.
Apparently, Scarlet is just an umbrella term
Yeah.
for a variety of different products, which is part of what I learned in this report, which on Gaming Bolt is headlined, Next Gen Xbox will reportedly be, quote, more advanced than the PS5.
Oh
It's
shit.
going to talk. and think and feel.
It's not enough to have microphones anymore.
No.
You got to talk back.
I mean, this is basically just a story like
Cortana 2.
summing up a handful of leaks. We are giving a fair amount of credibility to some leaks in these Microsoft stories here.
Yeah.
But some of them are from like Brad Sams, people that,
Yeah,
and another one is from a guy on Reset Era who has a good track record of leaking Microsoft stuff and like has verified with the mods. You know, like the mods are like, hey, he provided evidence. We can't obviously show it publicly.
They're all
but
controlled leaks,
Yeah.
man.
we are confident based on what he has shown us that he is legit.
You know, it would make sense to start maybe having a controlled leak or two.
Wouldn't
you know,
it?
like after the Wired
maybe.
story.
Maybe.
And, like there's the back and forth. Is
Especially if the leak is, yo, this Xbox will be better than that PlayStation.
yeah, like that's like, oh, that's more powerful than that shit.
Than any other console, especially the other one.
I mean, that could mean a lot of things, but
yeah.
the gist of all this stuff is basically that Microsoft really likes their kind of most powerful console in the world marketing stuff around the Xbox One X,
I mean,
and they don't want to lose that.
yeah. That was part of what fucked them up with the start of this generation.
Yeah.
Was the perception that the Xbox One, or well, perception, nothing. Like, you know, all the resolution talk, all that shit. I think they filtered all that rage right into the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
And no reason to stop now if they can keep it up.
Yes. Clearly better performing device is how the leaker on Reset Era describes this.
Clearly.
Like the kind of the implication from both of these leaks is like it'll be noticeable, or at least that's what they're saying. Like it will be an obvious difference that this is the fastest console. That's what they're saying. I mean, who knows?
Like, to who?
Yeah.
Is my thing, because I
mean, that could be like, hey, on paper, the teraflops number is significantly bigger.
Yeah.
They're going to write the number on the top of the case. So you look at the two and go, that one says 85 on it. That's high, right?
Like, clearly by what metric or measurement, who knows?
And maybe it's because I have a PC now, but the thing I am looking for from a new console is not how good the graphics are.
Well,
while that is part of it, and while that leads to like better, faster loading worlds and stuff like that, the stuff that I am most on the lookout for is the services that it provides and first-party games.
Can it get me groceries? Like, what are we talking here?
But I mean, like,
slash pizza.
You know how like Microsoft is obviously leaning into streaming. They're going really, really hard on streaming, and you know, does that mean that they're cutting some corners for physical media that maybe the PS5 isn't? You know, it all comes down to like price point is a big thing, and then services is the other thing.
Right. Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting transition if you have a good PC, because this wasn't the case at the beginning of the Xbox One generation. But now, if you're happy with your PC, you kind of don't need an Xbox.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that. If you subscribe to Game Pass or you're buying their games,
as long as they keep going with that. I mean, there's, you know, it would be a weird reversal at this point to be like, oh, these games are only on the Xbox.
They seem
fuck
committed.
the PC again.
Well, no,
gotcha.
I mean, like, there's even
like,
that.
No, I don't.
There were even those stories or those leaks coming out of the Windows preview builds that they're like doing work to get older Xbox One games up and running on PC. So,
which maybe that's the work that it takes to keep those games running on the new Xbox as well.
Yeah. So, like, it could get to the point where if you're just subscribing to Game Pass and buying games straight from Microsoft on a PC, they don't care if you buy the Xbox or not.
That
could be kind of nice to have, like, reduce the number of consoles you need by one.
It's definitely the impression that they've been giving for the last, couple of years now is that feeling of just like, oh yeah, if you just want to, get a PC, and if you want to play our games there, that's cool. We just want you to play our games and subscribe to our services. Let's go. Like,
I have yet to actually play Crackdown 3 yet, but like,
you're good.
I've got but that's the thing. I've got Game Pass, and I just downloaded Crackdown 3 on my PC, and I could just type CRAC into the start menu and be playing Crackdown 3.
I can't do that. It runs some other stuff.
Okay. You know what I mean, though? Like, it's
that Cracker Jack fan fiction you've been writing.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice, like that game is just there if I want to play it. You don't really have to think about it because it's just part of the subscription.
Right.
And it's right there on a fast piece of hardware you already own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are two boxes rumored. Basically, it sounds like they're going to be going for the same strategy they have now, where there is kind of an Xbox One S equivalent and then an Xbox One X equivalent. The X
just launching out of the gate with the half-step
what it
console.
sounds like. That's absolutely what it sounds like. The fast one
Works
is
for the iPhone.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. The fast one is codenamed Anaconda. The
Great.
The weaker one is codenamed Lockhart. So those are the names being thrown around. That's kind of the extent of the details.
I feel like those names went around a while ago.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. I'm really excited to watch all this stuff unfold because I think again, it feels like everyone has a different approach this time. The Xbox 360 and the PS3 were just like, hey, we have slightly different ways of running fucking 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. There are differences. One might not run quite as well as the other, but generally speaking, it's the same fucking thing. And this feels like there's, like everyone's got their own approach between Nintendo with the handheld stuff and Google with the stream only stuff. And, I think the early, like when you look at it at this point, assuming this stuff is all true and Microsoft is launching a really powerful console, like they seem poised to at least attempt to be all things to all people by going with the services route. And we don't know what Sony's play for streaming stuff is beyond what they're doing now on PS4s. If they're going to expand that and grow that out to better compete with the other stuff out there, they could have a whole thing. But they've got VR, and no one else has that in the console space. So it's like everyone's got their own little hook now.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it's neat. You start to see like these actually somewhat different visions for the future of video games as opposed to our console is black. Ours is black, but also somewhat green.
Right.
And
they run 98% the same games.
Exactly, yeah. And 100% of the games you care about are on both.
Right.
So but also run better on a PC anyway.
Sony's had some good exclusives this generation.
Yeah.
They've actually been bringing it pretty hard on the first party front. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Speaking of first party games, there's a leak on Reddit.
Finally.
About Ninja Theory's game.
Yeah.
Ninja Theory being one of the studios that got acquired by Microsoft.
Right.
In a pretty splashy fashion at E3 last year. The rumor is that they are basically resuscitating a project called Razer, R-A-Z-E-R.
Getting into the mouse game.
That's right.
I was thinking the scooter game.
That they straight up
better.
They straight up posted a bunch of pre-production materials about this project like 5 years ago because it was something they
moved away from.
I'm not clear if they were doing it on spec or if they were doing it for a publisher.
It's like a class-based,
right?
So sci-fi.
Yeah, so it's a 4-player co-op, sort of class-based melee, third-person action game, like Melee, maybe some shooting. The blog post is still up from August 18th, 2014, I believe.
Oh, what a different time.
Yeah. Note, this post is not about Hellblade. It was on the Hellblade blog. But a concept of a different Ninja Theory game that never made it into production. It's a bunch of concept art. It's some talk about what the designs were going to be like, or the design of the game. I'm trying to find, there was one like... sorry, there's so much concept art in here. There was one line in here about the pitch for the game that actually sounded kind of cool. Oh, here it is. Razer was a game that was to bring all... Oh, I'm sorry. This is kind of following on from the previous paragraph. Sorry, trying to summarize. This thing is worded somewhat confusingly. I'm trying to find a way to summarize it. Razer was a game that was to bring all of, they say, these elements, they're elements of other games that they were talking about in the previous paragraph, into an epic, massively co-op sci-fi adventure. It involved the idea that a huge alien creature had enveloped our planet. It would take thousands of players, months, if not years, to coordinate guerrilla warfare on a massive scale to kill this beast. Like, that kind of sounds really interesting.
So it's God Eater 3.
Okay. Yeah, like something with a common goal that could last like most of the console generation for people to do or to finish. Sounds like a really wild concept if that's the direction they're still going with
like
it.
Nobi Boy.
Yeah.
Kinda?
Ninja Boy.
Do you know if we ever made it back?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
I forget what the exact finale was, but the thing is done.
Good.
Anyway, there are some other details floating around.
But I guess the rumor is that maybe they've picked this back up and that
yeah.
this is what they're doing with Microsoft's money.
Yes. The leak says there are 6 unique locations, 3 missions per location, each one about 90 minutes long. Boss fights similar to God of War, Unreal Engine 4. That's what the leak says. If you bought a bunch of studios and you needed them to get games together for your new console as fast as possible, picking up a project that already had some
or
of the work
or a
done.
project that they probably were really passionate about, and they're like, man, that's the one that got away.
Yeah, totally.
It would be great to be able to make that.
Right. But also, like, they probably have a pretty firm idea in their heads of what they wanted that to be, so they could probably hit the ground running a little faster with something.
And
like
a lot of that stuff sounds like it lines up with the kind of service
totally.
games that are all the rage these days.
Service games and also games they've made in the past. Like, they have made plenty of third-person action games. They know what they're doing on that front.
Yeah.
All right, on to the PlayStation news. Peter Rubin, who was the writer at Wired that did that PlayStation 5 story with Cerny last week.
It's pronounced Sony.
Oh, sorry. That was the English spell or pronunciation. He started a short Twitter thread a few days ago saying basically this. This didn't make it into my PlayStation story, but given how many people are speculating about the Sony console's price, especially given the SSD and chip combo, thought I should probably give a tiny bit of interview transcript on it. Here's straight from his recording, I guess. Me, there's always been a general range of launch pricing. Will the next console hew to that range? Cerny, I believe that we will be able to release it at a suggested retail price that will be appealing to gamers in light of its advanced feature set. Me, meaning that it may cost a bit more, but what you're getting is well worth it. Cerny, that's about all I can say about it. So,
to me, that sounds expensive.
In light of
$599,
in light of its advanced feature set is a pretty loaded phrase.
Yeah,
it seems like.
I feel like the quote that got pulled out of that made its way around was one that was more like, "Hey, we're desired to be affordable," or like the. I feel like what you just read was the opposite of the headlines I saw.
I don't know what people interpreted.
That were
from
trying
this,
to
but
say like, that players will be happy with the pricing. Those
appealing to gamers in light of its advanced feature set.
I think appealing to gamers was the pull quote that people use, which contextually doesn't necessarily.
That is not the phrase that is doing the work in that sentence.
Gamers are spending $1,000 on a phone like this. I don't. There's no number that is appealing to the mat. Like, it has to be, if it's truly going to be appealing to me, it has to be lower than $600, right? Mm-hmm. It has to be.
So $599, you're stoked.
Like, they can never make another console that's priced that high because they just got ripped apart from that.
Yeah,
totally.
So it has to be lower.
Yeah.
You'd think.
I could see.
I think in that article it said like at the time that would the PlayStation, that was the 3, right?
$599.
It'd be like $790 in today's economy.
So that's the thing. It's like, launching a $599 console today is not as bad as it was then.
It's not appealing, Jeff.
But also, yeah, I mean, that's
I'm not most gamers.
No, the minute you say those words out loud, people are just like fucking laughing all the way, the whole time. Like, oh, you did it again.
Yeah, $599 in 2007 is roughly $750 now.
Yeah.
What did the PS4 launch at? What was that?
PS4 was $399.
Yeah.
I could see $499 for this.
Yeah, I feel like that's about as high as you can go.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, yeah, even that I feel like is pushing it. Like $400.
Oh yeah, I agree. That I feel like that is a little bit risky
for like a early adopter launch price. Like $400 seems.
If you think about the things they've talked about, which is like full backwards compatibility, the SSD and stuff, it is an impressive list of things to like. If I'm going to buy a new box, I want it to have these
totally.
Things, but
I want technology to march forward. But it marches forward at a rate that's like, hey, the cost of the device is in the same ballpark, roughly the same as it was last time.
And that's got to make you wonder if the Xbox is indeed more powerful.
Yeah,
what does that mean for the price?
Exactly, yeah. And
so-
that's why you launch 2 of them. It's because you've got one
Yes.
that's like closer to a mass market price
Yeah.
out of the gate.
The language in that story was literally like the cheaper one is considered the mass market mover.
Totally. Yeah.
Also, we'll get to this in a second, but Microsoft has been very aggressively discounting the price of the hardware that they sell
Yeah.
for the last year or two.
I think that's made this other announcement they had last week like feel very strange.
Right. Real quick, let me just look at some more inflation-y stuff here. The $399 that the PS4 cost in 2013 is equivalent to $435 now. Just in case you were wondering.
Okay.
Yeah, like minutes after the podcast ended last week, Microsoft confirmed the Xbox One S All Digital Edition.
The SAD.
The Sade.
Yeah, yes, the Sade. Which had been rumored, like that was rumored, and the what's the official name of the bundled service tier?
That's
Game Pass Ultimate?
Yeah. Ultimate.
I'm
Xbox
trying to-
Live Ultimate. Xbox Live Gold Ultimate.
Xbox Game Pass Ultimate,
Game Pass
is the
Ultimate.
name. So both of those had been rumored. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and then the 2 leaks were 100% accurate for that stuff. If you guessed that this diskless Xbox One S was going to look like an Xbox One S without a disk drive or slot, congratulations.
In my
That's
head,
exactly what it looks
it
like.
was always a significantly smaller device. It was approaching like Apple TV form factor or like a Mac Mini or something like
Well, they
that.
probably
you know?
wanted to
like,
keep using the same main board.
totally.
that they use
Yeah.
in
No.
the
Like
existing S.
yes, it makes total sense. I'm an idiot for thinking that, but like that in my head, it had a sexy new
Oh yeah,
look.
yeah, that would have been cool.
And so to have this thing look exactly like the console they're selling, but with one fewer feature
Right.
for like a pretty similar price.
Yeah.
You just go like, what is this for?
Yeah, so this thing got announced at $249. Which,
Okay. No
like,
thanks.
Immediately, people were going around posting screenshots of retail sites selling the current disk drive equipped S bundled with a game or two for the same price.
Yeah, it's just
And people were just like,
you know,
why?
the drive is not the expensive part of building an Xbox One, so
Right.
it's not like they
So-
save a ton.
So that did not look great out
But
of the gate.
But it comes with games.
Yes, it does come with, what is it, Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, and Forza Horizon 3. Not 4,
3.
3, the previous one.
Presumably, it would also come with a trial of Game Pass. You
Yeah,
could use to play
so
for.
I think you can get like 3 months of Game Pass for $1 when you
Mm.
buy this thing. There's some deals around that stuff. I don't know how they don't just give you like a month free with this thing.
Yeah,
That seems like a no-brainer. But Kotaku went and got comment from them like this probably was easy enough to see coming if you looked at how they sell Xboxes these days, but
Yeah.
they actually spelled it out more explicitly than I would have expected them to, which was to say, this was actually from Major Nelson. We expect to maintain at least a $50 difference between Xbox One S and the all-digital version during sales. I'm sorry, that was the entirety of his quote. So, yeah, basically you can look at whatever the current S costs and assume that this thing will actually be more like $200.
that's
Pretty much in perpetuity because those things are always on sale now.
right. Yeah.
Like,
How much?
Xbox Ones are never not on
You almost
sale.
wonder if they just had like a warehouse full of parts, but not disk drives. They're like,
I don't know.
seal up the front of it. Let's go.
How much storage is on one of these?
I think it's this. I'm sorry, it's 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
500. I think it's 500 gig in the still in the S, I believe.
Is it? Okay. I thought terabyte had kind of become the standard across the board.
Could
But
be
pretty
wrong.
good.
Let me double check that. I think it's still 500 gig in the
Okay.
base
Okay.
model S.
so you get that. That's not nothing.
No.
I mean, it's a hearts and minds, or it's a perception thing at the end of the day, because I can't remember the last time I used the disc slot on an Xbox.
I mostly use it for 360 games that I want to
Oh,
play.
sure. Yeah.
Because if you have a bunch of old 360 games on disc, you
Mhm.
can't authenticate that you have those if you don't have the disc drive.
Right. Yeah. Unless you have the HD DVD drive, you plug that in, and that works, right?
I
Can
wonder
we do
if-
that?
I
No.
wonder if there are
absolutely
external.
not.
Probably not.
They should do that, but why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It really, you start to wonder if this is like a test of like, hey, how palatable is this to people?
Yeah.
especially if it ends up the price point ends up being like real world is lower than the.
What if that Lockhart model of the next Xbox doesn't have a disk drive?
Yeah,
they could.
That's what I considered. It makes sense if they're really going hard on streaming.
But also if they want to be backwards compatible,
that's
at
true.
some point,
that is a huge problem for that.
You might as well just do it. Like I said, it's like that's not the expensive part.
Yeah.
So
or maybe they just keep pushing this diskless 1S as the streaming only box next generation. It's like, hey, if we offer all the games we sell for this console also in a streaming capacity, that old thing will do that.
Yeah, like you can download the games that are downloadable and run on this platform,
right?
But hey, you want to play the new stuff, you can stream it. Like, it always seemed like it was like them tiptoeing into some of that stuff and kind of testing the waters on a digital box. Like,
digital box.
Whoa.
Yep. Cyber box.
I think that was the weird thing about it is like if it was something of them like trying to make people get people into this idea, it always seemed like something that should have been cheaper out of the gate. So when they announced it at $249, it was like, wait, what? Who is this actually for then? If it's lined up so closely with the S, the existing S. But I guess if it's real world price ends up being more like $199, sure, we'll see.
That stuff still works, right? Like the psychology of pricing $1 below the tier.
I think they wouldn't do it anymore if it didn't do a thing.
It's still appealing to people.
Like $200, I don't know, $199. That one looks a lot better than it's
like basically like $100.
Yeah,
what's the difference?
I mean, you read it left to right, so you see that first number first.
Yeah. Entirely possible.
I mean, I assume that's the psychology of it.
Yeah. All right, on to the Nintendo news of the week. The Japanese newspaper Nikkei is out with some more reporting on that new Switch hardware. You ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Nintendo is getting out of the quality of life health device business.
No.
Awesome.
I'm sorry to tell you.
They never got in.
According to Kotaku.
Tell it to my balance board.
Okay, bring your balance board and I will tell it.
Jan, bring your balance board.
I have it here at the office.
Have you talked to a balance board? What language does a balance board understand?
Motion. The language of love.
That's right. That's what I thought. According to Kotaku's translation of that story, remember that? Remember they were
like,
kind of talking about
we're going to do a sleep quality device.
Wearable health tech.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, according to that story, they have been informing their supply chain partners that they are getting out of that business.
They never got in.
That's not actually the big story here.
Yeah.
They've been like prototyping things.
Yeah, I guess
I'm sure they were working on
like
stuff.
that seems like it's just matured to a point where it's the stuff that people expect to be tethered to a phone. Mm-hmm. If you look at what the Switch is, you're not going to
like when it was a Fitbit. When the Fitbit was like first a thing,
exactly.
It was this novel like, it's a wearable.
Totally.
Yeah. Now
it's basically like the cell phone subsuming the digital camera market.
Yeah,
it's like the smart watch is also eating all the health wearables.
Delicious.
Yes. That's not actually the big news out of this. I just thought it was funny. The big news is some more details on those two new Switch models that are coming. This reinforces the idea.
One tells you how well you're sleeping.
That's right.
The other one doesn't have a
just
disk
for
drive.
fun, though, not for health.
This reinforces the earlier reporting that cheaper, more portable Switch is still coming out this year, which would make sense if you're trying to sell that thing to kids who want Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. But sorry, what was the other news on the high-end models?
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. But the big detail that we have been wondering about this cheap Switch is that they say it will be dockable with a TV.
Okay.
So what that means, if it comes with its own cable, or if I would hope it's compatible with the existing dock.
You'd think.
Like,
yeah, because
you're going to have households.
If you're thinking about it like, hey, we're getting a second Switch for the kids.
Yeah.
Or,
you've got a couple Pro controllers or whatever, you would want to just stick it in the same thing that you already have hooked up.
Right.
I hope that's the way they go with it. But that's kind of the big detail there. The new information on the more powerful Switch is that it's being pushed back. And it seems somewhat nebulous as to why. One of the lines per Kotaku's translation is, "It's not clear who is in charge of the concept design." For that more powerful.
Okay.
US Gamer, this is a little muddier because they ran an original article on a translation of that report and then posted a correction basically saying that their first translation was kind of erroneous.
Okay.
So it's a little bit fuzzy there, but their updated translation has a little more information on the Switch Pro stuff. This is their Second, what they say is correct translation. Beyond the smaller, budget-focused model lies the development of the overhauled next-generation model intended to replace the one currently available. Nintendo is believed to be experimenting on a number of different things for the device, including usability, improved image rendering, and changes to the operating system, among other things. One development source contends, however, that it still remains unclear at this stage who at the company will end up taking the lead on conceptual development for the new console. Like, that stuff sounds a little more far out than some of the previously implied stuff. Like, this sounds more like a 2 to 3 years away kind of thing.
Well, it's just, you start to wonder, like, what market does that, when you start using words like next generation, those have a very particular meaning.
Right.
And
well, who knows if that's just like Nikkei's
yeah,
jargon that doesn't necessarily line up with what we think of as next generation.
And so that's kind of, I mean, OS changes, like, if you think about the original Switch as being, not secure, and then they made changes to it that made newer models of it more secure, but maybe there's some ticking time bomb there where they're like, this is we patched over the problem, but look, we got to figure this out.
Maybe.
So maybe you do OS changes around that, or the OS changes are necessitated by larger hardware changes. So like a newer version of the Tigra stuff.
Maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Was there something about like heat or battery
capacity?
That was the erroneous part.
US Gamer's original report.
Got it.
They kind of
walked that back,
papered over that part.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if they're saying like it's not clear who's going to lead development and stuff like that, that sounds like the start of a project, not one that you're cranking out as like a mid-cycle.
Right.
Like, this is not the new Switch, like the way that the new 3DS came out, right?
And honestly, I don't know that they need, I mean,
it feels...
Do they need a somewhat more powerful Switch? Like, not really.
It feels a little too soon to me to be
like the third-party games, like, there's visual differences and stuff like Trials and MK and stuff like that. You're like, oh, well, it doesn't look as good as the PS4. You're like, yeah, of course it fucking doesn't. It's a fucking Switch. But that's not that doesn't break it. It doesn't like it. Oh, I'm not going to buy a Switch because
so many games out on the Switch that run perfectly fine on that thing. Like, I don't need to play MK11 and Trials.
But also you could.
Well, you could.
I mean, it's not...
Actually, I haven't seen in that MK11 port. But
there's some footage out there. Yeah.
People talk like it's like shockingly nice.
Yeah, like, you see, like I looked at it a little bit at PAX and it was like, oh, you see some stuff around the edges where like, oh, maybe the lighting's not as good, that sort of stuff. But like, it's fine for a fucking portable for a handheld,
But I mean, between like Nintendo first party and like every indie game in existence coming to that thing, and like there's a bunch of last gen stuff. Like I've been playing Dragon's Dogma on the Switch, and that looks perfectly fine and runs well.
I just don't know that there are that many people asking for like, man, you need more power. This thing's too weak. Like it's not. That's not the thing I would change about the Switch. Like I think the smarter thing
through like a Steam game that came out in 2016.
And also like Mario Odyssey looks incredible. Like
it's fine.
That thing is fine for what it is. I'm not ready to like go buy a new Switch.
Yeah, and if you were, it would be more in the realm of like, I've got someone in my life who is not as serious about games as I am. They're a little kid, or my wife, somebody. Yeah. We need a second Switch because they're borrowing mine all the time. Yeah. Get off my goddamn case. Let me play these goddamn video games, or now we can play them together. Here is the cheaper Switch. Yeah. Hopefully with some kind of family sharing thing rolled out alongside it to find a way to not have to go buy all those games again.
Yeah, there is the family sharing on the online service, but I don't know about the game ownership stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's harder to break.
Something that's like, here's a more resilient piece that's meant to...
Maybe the controls are just built in and don't have that little slide mechanism that is kind of easy to mess up.
Can't play 1-2 Switch on it at that point, though. What am I going to do? Bring Joy-Con with me? Fuck no.
Do you want your children playing Super Mario Party?
No.
Okay. Enough said. They put out a version 8.0 of the Switch OS the other day. I don't know if you guys saw. It's got a couple nice, quiet features in it. It's got a zoom mode.
What is that?
Like, you can zoom the screen.
What?
It's accessibility stuff. Like,
okay.
There are parts of Dragon's Dogma where the text has been a little too small on the portable screen for my taste. So you can straight up just zoom in.
For a second, I thought you said Zune.
Also, there's
finally
Zune functionality
portable MP3 player. Sick.
You can also send save Send save files on a per game basis between Switches.
Not copy, move.
Well, is it move?
Yeah.
Did you look that up? Okay, I wasn't clear on that stuff.
What?
It's a way to move save data around.
But you can already download cloud save data.
Well, yeah, but
Well, this would
How
be
is this
something you
different?
could do without paying them.
Oh, this is just in the. Oh, okay.
you know, it might be a nice thing to have if you're about to roll out a new model of Switch, let's say.
Yeah.
Sure.
That might convince people that they should buy a different one. All right. Last Nintendo piece of news real fast. Tencent is beginning to put plans in motion to sell the Switch in China.
Trying to get that Chinese Switch.
I mean, this
Yeah.
would
The
be nice.
IQ.
This would be really big for them because I remember reading an article a few months ago how they haven't got there's a list. Your game, if you want to sell a video game in China, it has to be approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tencent's games have been like blocked, basically.
Yeah.
I think that changed. There was a
Oh,
while
okay.
there where they weren't approving anything,
So-
and then people were like, "What the fuck's going
Well,
on?"
I know they
China?"
started
Like,
approving things, but they still weren't
it
doing
still-
Tencent.
yeah.
But this was
Like,
months ago.
Okay.
Game
yeah.
consoles were straight up banned nationwide until 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tencent is based in Guangdong, and that's where they're going to kind of provisionally start selling it. This says they will be distributing Nintendo Switches containing a special, quote, test version of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So
okay.
they have kind of tentatively gotten approved. Also, I, in the course of reading the story, did not realize that Tencent is by revenue the biggest game company in the world.
Yep.
Like, I knew it was monstrous, but I didn't know it was that big.
I'd love to get our hands on that test version. See what that is.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just like,
sure
hey, it's available in Chinese.
Yeah, I wonder if there's actually any real difference about it or what that means.
Yeah.
But
I know there's a lot of like I know for MMOs and stuff, you've had to like mandate breaks. And
Yeah,
stuff.
they had to take out all the skeletons.
that too, but like also like it's straight up. You need to take a break.
what does this mean for Dry Bones?
Yeah, what does this mean for Dry
He's
Bones?
now wet bones,
Oh no.
Oh, gross.
jelly bone.
Yeah, I'm sure footage of that version of the game will get out there. But wasn't what was the deal? They were selling like the Nvidia Shield with Mario Galaxy on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
in
Yeah,
China?
there were some Wii games being
Yeah.
ported to the Shield.
So like Nintendo's kind of been like stealthing their way into the market there a
Yeah.
little bit before, but this
Gross.
sounds a lot more official. That's a big market.
China, that's a big market.
That's right. I feel like we've kind of been wondering off and on what would happen to that time slot that Sony exited at E3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to get a juggernaut in there with a lot of games to announce.
Yeah, someone who really has run some press conferences in the past and really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
knows how to appeal to a crowd.
Yeah.
Somebody that might have an eccentric developer show up in a gigantic, weird, round mask on
Yeah,
stage.
Sure.
Let me introduce you to Square Enix.
Oh,
They got one of those.
yeah.
They've got some stuff that's interesting.
Sure.
Remember that thing they did last year
What did they do?
where they it was
Kingdom
just
Hearts trailer.
and then
Yeah.
Quiet Man.
Oh, God, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, but in my mind, that presentation had some interesting stuff in it, but maybe
Yeah.
maybe not.
But they've done whatever. They've done press conferences bore. and-
Yes.
Yeah.
What if they
I think
announce-
we assumed they were.
If they
gonna
got
have
Yoko
something.
Taro on stage,
Yes, what if they announce his next game?
that would
Yeah.
be cool.
Mm.
I would be very happy.
It'll have been 2 years since that game came out by then or
Yeah.
more.
And then they're taking the slot that Sony's normally in. Is that what it is?
6 p.m. Monday.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Microsoft's going Sunday.
Yes.
Before Bethesda, which is fucking wild.
Yeah, so
It's
wanted to
wild
get
to
ahead of
people who
whatever
go to
they're-
E3. You know, like
Yeah.
not actually wild.
Well-
Wild to us
a lot of people
planning logistics.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people at home watch all that stuff live too.
Yeah.
So that's 1 p.m. Sunday for Microsoft.
Uh-huh.
Bethesda
Like 5:30 for
5:30
Bethesda.
Bethesda Sunday. Monday. So now Monday is just Ubisoft and Square,
I guess so.
unless Google
Unless someone else
pops up
comes
or
in
something
there,
like
or
that.
I don't know who else would
Has
be in
Nintendo
there.
scheduled a direct
They
yet?
haven't said anything, but
No.
I would assume they'll do Tuesday morning like they always do. It's an okay lineup. I mean, it's
Sure.
kinda
Yeah, totally.
nicely
Yeah,
spread out, but not too spread out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what they got.
We'll be there for that.
Final Fantasy 16.
Whoa!
What?
Slow down.
No. What?
That's too many Final Fantasies.
When's that going to come out?
3016.
Great.
What What if they just stop making numbered Final Fantasies?
They should. It should be Final Fantasy : and then some
Yeah,
words like
sure.
the
Crystal
spirits
Chronicles.
within.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be fine if they just kept, if they pretended Final Fantasy 15 never came out and just kept supporting Final Fantasy 14 forever, and that was actually the Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if anything, it's almost a shame that game doesn't have a more like a broader title than having a number on it because it's so popular and,
Yeah.
and doing so well. They could turn it into a little bit more of a platform or something. I don't. Whatever. We'll see. Final Fantasy
Final Fantasy X7.
4 and 6. Those are good
God.
games. Way Forward is making a new River City Ransom game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called River City Girls.
With
So I didn't realize apparently ArcSys owns all of the Technos IP.
Yeah, they bought all that stuff up a while back.
I didn't know that either.
I did not know that. So that means
A company named Million held it before that, I believe.
Wow.
And ArcSys got it off them.
Huh.
For how much?
Like $9.
It's a bad deal for million.
Yeah, so like ArcSys could make a Double Dragon fighting game if they wanted to.
Yep, they could. Yeah. I mean, they did that. They were on that last Double
Neon?
Dragon. No, 5 or whatever they. No.
Oh,
No.
4 is what they called it.
that was the one that like looked like the classic
Yeah.
game but was new.
But also looked like the NES game in a weird way. I
They should
think
just
they
make
were.
Double Dragon 5 again.
So was Neon
Yeah.
must have been before ArcSys came along
Yeah.
and got that stuff?
I think that's right.
So yeah, the Way Forward is making a new one. They don't
River
say,
City Girls. That's a cool name.
They don't
The
say
female protagonist, right?
One would assume.
There's a line in there about
Yeah, so yeah, actually, I wanted to read the there's a quote from the producer on the game at ArcSys that just really jumped off the page. I think the River City series has a reputation as a 2D fighting action game with a lot of male fans, but then River City Girls appears. Way Forward's enthusiasm for a female protagonist won me over. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
It
I'm
sounded
Way
like it
Forward.
just
Yeah,
kinda came out of nowhere.
Certainly have a history of that as well.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. If you had told me like at some mid-period, like late SNES era to PS2 era, you could have said the words like, "Hey, we're making a new River City Ransom." I would have been very excited.
Yeah.
And then at some point, like they kind of started making them,
Mhm.
and they kind of didn't stop.
Yeah.
And like
I've-
there's
I've-
3DS. There's
I've lost
there's-
track of.
Yeah, there's a handful of
Also,
River City games.
Isn't
that-
there like a fan-made one out there that never got shut down, so it also sort of
I forget,
muddied
man.
the waters? Or
But it feels like a lot of them came
Yeah.
along and kind of saturated my like my nostalgia nerve for River City at some point got burned out.
maybe this will be a little more like modernized.
I will say, if you
Yeah.
want to check out a good River City Ransom, check out the Friends of Ichigo. Can't remember his last name.
Ringo Ichikawa.
Ringo Ichikawa. Thank
I
you.
believe is what that's called. I heard that thing is
It's pretty cool.
quite good.
It's like River City Ransom meets Persona.
Huh.
I think the thing that happened is like now anytime a new River City Ransom style game comes out, it just makes me go back and play River City Ransom again.
Yeah, I played that
Uh,
through for the first time last year.
Yeah.
Actually.
I mean, yeah, I've never actually played the original.
It's
So, like,
cool.
I mean, like, are all the new ones just kind of more of that?
Sort of,
Like,
kind of.
is there room to do
Yeah.
more?
I mean, they're
What's
just
the
beat 'em
formula?
ups. Like, yeah, you could absolutely do whatever.
Yeah.
This is beat 'em ups with some RPG stats. It's not anything fancy. It's
Yeah.
and then a dude says barf when he dies. Like it's there you go.
They puke out money.
Yeah,
That's all any of us
and the
can hope for.
music in the shop is good.
Got some emails about this, but I decided to put it in the news.
Take that, emailers.
This just
right.
in, we got emails.
Oh,
Some of the emails were putting a spin on it that I don't know necessarily deserves. So we're going to play it
Thank you,
straight
Jeff.
here.
finally, you're home playing it straight.
The no spin
Yep.
area.
GameStop is launching a new program called Guaranteed to Love It that lets you return a game within 48 hours for the full purchase price.
Oh, I thought it was just gonna be like a larger size of
Yeah,
ice cream.
the fourth mythical size.
No, this is...
How many mix-ins can I get?
Yeah. Do they sing? Because if they sing, I'm not in.
They stopped singing.
I know. I'm so happy.
I can't believe it.
It's to be fair, it's store credit you're getting back. It's
Yeah.
not straight cash.
And this is a per game basis, right? They're not.
So for now, yeah, they're launching it, and this is where some of the emails were maybe a little bit pointed.
Hey, I get it.
They're launching it with Days Gone.
Uh huh.
So all of the emails that I saw come in about it were like, "Hey, does this mean they don't think Days Gone is going to sell?"
That'd be
Well, no, because
that's the opposite.
they're paying to get them back in,
Right.
so that they can turn around and sell them used.
Right.
If anything, that's them saying like, "Fucking
think-
get them
they
back
think-
to
they
us.
think,
We'll flip them."
They think, yeah.
But
also-
if you were going to read into anything there, it's like maybe Days Gone is a short game. It's like or I guess not, because
Yeah,
again they.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
There's nothing really you can read into.
So it's like trading within 2 days of purchase, and you get
yeah.
full price
Yes.
in store credit.
You don't get tax backs. You get $59.99 in store credit. I mean, this obviously, to me at least, has way more to do with GameStop's declining fortunes.
Totally. This is them trying
Like-
to, like, hey, come here and buy it. We're offering you a cushion if you don't like it, and they're hoping that you just like it and
Yes.
whatever.
Yes, they're trying to get people.
Or
in
they're
the
hoping
store.
that they can sell more used copies than new.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't realize how dire things are. This Polygon story where I got most of this information says that they posted a $673 million loss last year.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They shut down Game Informer Australia.
Yeah. Also, that loss includes the fact that they sold their mobile division. So, pretty dire.
Doesn't sound great.
And I mean, the future is even more foreboding if we are moving more towards streaming and
Yeah, I mean,
digital.
like Microsoft literally shipping a box with no drive on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
and
yeah,
Sony
it must
not
be-
selling codes,
it-
not letting people sell.
it
codes
must be-
anymore.
yeah, that's a little different.
It's a little different,
yeah.
but it's just a lot of little things that add up.
yeah.
It must be downright apocalyptic to be trying to run a retail business right now.
Oh yeah,
any
man, that's-
retail
like-
business is
Like one of those Amazon's things opened down
Yeah.
market. Is that one of those like employee-less?
Oh, there's still
Yes.
like people hovering.
Well,
for
of course
now,
they need
but
some loss retention type
it is
stuff.
like there's
but,
gates at the front that open and close. Like there's no checkout. You just like
Yeah,
walk
right.
in.
Have you
scan
done
the
it?
app.
No, I just saw it.
I kind of want to see it.
like,
I
you know what?
kind of want to.
You know what?
We were
Actually,
gonna. Jan and I were talking about.
I
want to.
I want to go to the dark cyber future and see it.
Yeah, like if it weren't for all the horrific socioeconomic implications of that place,
So I
like,
guess
the tech is kind of interesting.
I guess the thing that started happening, as I was reading about, the Amazon Go stuff, was like, oh, actually, a lot of cities and ordinances are forcing them to accept cash because they're built to like work around an app, but they're like actually the socioeconomic, like the haves and have-nots you're creating by not allowing people to pay cash for a thing is super fucked, and fuck you.
You can't
if
go
wanna,
to that Blue Bottle and they're cashless. I tried to go get a fucking cup of coffee and they wouldn't let me pay with cash.
Yeah, so I think like some cities are looking to step in and be like, no, you need to take fucking cash.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's
the thing that
Including pennies.
the thing that freaked me out more than anything is that I forget what day it was last week. I went to the bus stop, and that's when I saw it. And it was like it had a coming soon, and all the windows were like papered over, like brown paper bag
Yeah.
looking covering. Like it looked like it hadn't been even begun in terms of like prettying up the store. Like the very next day, I was down there, and it was like open for business.
Oh wow.
Jeez.
And like whatever, I'm sure it's just logistics,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like it just felt like it fucking budded overnight. Like
Yeah,
it's
they just,
like
they got 2 day shipping,
they
so it all
literally-
just showed up at the store,
Yeah.
and they're like, all right.
like they literally sprinkled the spores in that space and turned the humidity up, and it grew overnight.
Yeah. I would like to see that weird walk in, walk out tech in action. Like I want to know.
Yeah. Buy Days Gone at GameStop and feel confident in your purchase, I guess. Criterion has announced
Because then
their-
you could just go buy like, a PSN card or, whatever.
That's true.
If you do turn the game back in.
That is true. Criterion has announced, I'm just going to read the entire tweet. Burnout Paradise fans, after over 11.5 years of service, the servers for the original 2008 game will be closing on August 1st. That affects Xbox 360, PS3, and PC versions. Offline play will still be available, of course, and Burnout Paradise remastered servers are unaffected.
Yeah.
So,
Kind of makes sense.
yeah.
That they released an updated version. They're going to support that one,
Yeah.
or
Yes, this
leave
would-
the servers up for that
This would
one.
be very different if the remastered version had not come out.
I think I was kind of surprised that the servers were still up last time I checked in on it.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, that is way, way longer than a lot
yeah,
of online
like,
games last.
especially for EA. I mean,
To be fair. People been doing donuts on that airstrip
yeah,
all this time.
for a goddamn decade.
They couldn't take them down.
11 and a half years. God.
What was the PC split on original game versus remastered? Like remastered is a totally separate product, right? On PC.
Yeah.
And that's only on Origin, right?
Probably, yeah.
And I think the PC version of the original was on Steam.
It was. I don't know if it still is, but it was. Yeah, they had a Paradise box. I forget what there was some kind of like came with a lot of the DLC, but not all of it or something. But there was some kind of
But yes, there is still a way to play Burnout Paradise online. Thankfully. I just thought this was kind of a nice feel-good story after the tragic fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Ubisoft is pledging €500,000 to help with restoration and reconstruction.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Strong feelings on medieval French religious structures.
I think they're cool.
Okay,
I think
there you go.
they should rebuild it. It was a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Where that money comes from and all that other stuff, like that's the part I'm a little more like, I don't, I would assume the church has a lot of money.
I have no idea.
But I know they don't run they don't run the upkeep on it or something. It's whatever.
Well, obviously, gauging the reaction on Twitter, something that meant a fair amount to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I saw people talking about it, like who is posts like I've never been to Paris, but I played this game. I've been on that rooftop.
Like they gave away Unity.
Yes, that's right. I forgot to mention they are also giving away Assassin's Creed Unity for I think another 2 or 3 days from now.
People saying like I never got a chance to go, but I feel like part of me was I feel like I saw it, and it's cool that they're using this money to support that is.
People were pulling up some like interviews from back before Unity came out about how much effort they put into getting that entire structure looking just right in that game.
Well, I think that was like some of the stories that were going around were saying like actually because of how like thorough they were in scanning the property, they may be able to use some of that effort as part of the restoration.
The video games, I originally was going to put an SF Chronicle story in there where the headline implied that, but it's actually a 3D scan that a historian did 3 years ago that is going to be actually useful there because that thing is accurate to like 5 millimeters or something like that.
Yeah. That's still fascinating. The technology end of that is really fascinating.
But they did mention Unity as another source of some kind of accurate reproduction.
I wonder if they reproduce it accurately or if they go in a more modern direction.
I don't know.
That evokes the original or something like that.
Yeah. All right. Ben.
What?
It's time for your favorite story of the week.
Why is this my favorite story of the week?
Favorite story of the week.
It's not actually. I don't know. You seem to have some thoughts on it before we started. I saw this headline and I was like, how are we not going to...
Yeah. No, this is...
Here's the headline on Polygon.
From TMZ.com.
Fan assaults top Smash Brothers player with crab at tournament.
Yeah, so
The crab was dead is the deck of this story.
Yeah, someone threw a crab at a Smash Brothers player at a tournament from the crowd.
I actually managed to see this live, surprisingly, because I haven't watched a Melee thing in, I don't know, a year. I was over at a friend's place who was watching it, who still keeps up with the scene.
What were your thoughts in the moment watching?
Why did they just throw a crab at that guy?
There you go.
I assumed my friend who has been keeping up with Melee would
be like, well, it's a reference to
it's this guy's thing.
Yeah. But and like I even know the player, like Hungrybox is the best player in the world right now. He has been a top level player for years and years.
Like in a way that some people find annoying, right? Like that he's kind of always at the top of this, or
I'll say like I don't enjoy watching him play because he plays a very kind of more defensive style, blah, 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 slows the game down, whatever. There's a million posts that you can read about why he's killing the game or whatever.
I mean, but he wins.
But he wins.
Like, if anything, that's more of a statement about the game itself.
Exactly. And here's what I might recommend you do what I do if you find his play boring, which is stop watching Melee. Or at least the grand finals where he's playing, because he's playing all the time. Like, there's still cool stuff to happen.
I don't know, man. If I can turn it on and see people throwing crabs around, that might I heard about this, I did go find the clip of this and watch it.
But that's gonna encourage more fucking idiots like the guy who threw this crab.
I know, but also
who they thank God found and is banned for life.
So the organizers of this tournament banned him for life, and they haven't released his name publicly, but they are also passing his name to other tournament organizers.
I think somebody had an alternate angle video of it, and they were able to see him like actually throw it.
Mhm.
And I guess it goes back to a meme. Like
Okay.
there's a
as it always
Yeah,
does.
meme. I
yeah.
don't know. I had to like dig through
Yeah,
Reddit
no,
and stuff
of course
to try
he
and
did. Like,
find
why
that.
would-
like why?
Why a crab?
this
Is that just what he had? And he was so furious. He's like, I'd have this crab on a plate. Fuck this. Fuck you, dude. Like, is that what happened?
I mean, this is what happens when you build your entire passion around an esport that is one day going to die. It's like these crazy Melee fans who can't handle that their game has reached the end game.
Or at that point, it's like, why not get banned? You're like, fuck it. Like, it's over anyway.
I guess.
I mean, this is
You
the
have to
same.
carry around a dead crab all day.
This is the same tournament scene that had to be politely asked to shower more often.
That's every fighting game tournament. I don't care what people say about Melee. I've been to some other non-Melee fighting game tournaments. That's PAX. That's
And if it was a Pokemon tournament, they would have been flinging shit around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, let's not forget, like, every fighting game had like. Do you guys remember that dude who ran on stage at Evo trying to challenge Chris? He had no shirt on, and he was trying to challenge the champion to a match on stage.
fuck yeah.
That to me is more harmless than throwing a crab.
You know, you don't know what
It's
intent
like
that person has when they run up there.
Yes,
Like,
it's
that's
way
scary.
scarier,
But
then like finding out that he just really wanted to play a game against him.
yeah.
Like, he's not getting anything thrown at. Because, like, legitimately, what if that hits him in the face? Like, what if that fucks him up a little bit?
Totally.
What if he throws it way harder than he means to? Like,
Yep.
I've jokingly thrown something
Oh,
at a
yeah.
friend and, like, actually hurt him. And
I'm really, yes. Like, I want to unequivocally say, like, don't fucking throw shit at people.
just leave. Just go. Don't watch it. Just don't.
But
Like,
also, I
if it-
really enjoyed watching that clip. I can't fucking.
God.
I know that makes me a bad person. Don't let it make everyone else a bad person.
Yeah. Don't do it, and don't encourage your friends to do it.
Yeah. No, that's fucking, yeah, don't be like, yeah, dude, throw crap. Like, take that on yourself.
Yeah.
How do you get the crab in there?
I don't know.
Go to the grocery store.
Where was the tournament?
Wasn't it in Maryland?
You could get a crab in Maryland,
Oh,
no
yeah.
problem.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it was in a crab-rich
Yeah.
environment.
Oh, yeah. You just got crabs at that point.
But that's the thing, yeah, you had to carry it around all day. And, like, if you think about it, this person was actually rooting for a Hungry Box to win because that meant he gets to throw the crab.
Well, okay, that's the thing, though. Was this full-on premeditated? Like, if that dude wins, I'm throwing the crab? Or was it like,
That's 'cause,
or
yes,
in the
the
heat of the
meme-
moment, the guy won, he's like, motherfucker.
The meme is about how it's like, I think it goes back, I could be wrong about this.
Okay.
But I think it was a copy pasta that
Don't
was
be
like,
wrong about memes.
crab emoji, Melee is dead, crab emoji was something Twitch chat would spam when he would win.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then so somebody threw a crab.
Okay. See, that's way less cool.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, it's extremely
Okay, now
premeditated.
I that you have completely changed
Yep.
my view on this. Fuck that guy. Ban him for life from video games.
Shit.
Yeah, get ISP ban
Yeah.
him.
This went from random and bizarre to just like obvious and predictable.
Yeah.
And
If it was a heat of the moment thing, I've got this crab, and I'm like, I might eat later. It's on a plate, and you see that, and you're like, fuck this guy.
I wanted Mango to win.
Ah!
Mango won and winners finally gave us hope.
Motherfucker won again.
Don't throw anyone at anything at anyone, but especially like this is just a guy who's trying to win the video game that he's very good at.
He's very good at it. If you can't handle that, like, that's fucking esports. Like, people don't like the Yankees. Well, whatever. People throw shit at the
I
Yankees.
mean,
all the
people used to like a lot of people forget this about Justin Wong is he was like the most defensive player at the time. He was like an extremely turtle player, but the thing that the FGC kind of always was able to do was, hey, if that's the kind of style, this is how you beat that style. And eventually it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's like a little Rochambeau thing of the top 3 Marvel players will have this distinct style, blah, blah, blah.
So what you're saying is that Melee is just not as good of a game.
I'm saying
and
it's reached an end state where there is a style of play that is obviously better than all others.
And so when
he's
people
the only person in the world who can do it.
Okay, I
like,
was gonna say when other people win, is it because they've outstyled him at his style?
he's the only Jigglypuff player. Like that's the thing is like.
Well, why aren't there other people doing it?
Nobody knows, man. Like there are some other top level players who will maybe get a top 8 every now and then, but he is the only Jigglypuff player consistently. Well, he's the only player consistently winning tournaments, and he's the only Jigglypuff player doing it at a level where nobody else can deal with it. And
is there something about Jigglypuff that makes this possible, or could you do it with other characters?
Yeah. The thing about Jigglypuff is.
The thing about Jigglypuff is...
I'll keep it really short, but she has really good recovery because she has all the jumps. You know, she can jump a bunch of times, so it's really hard to kill her. And also she had, that move Rest where it, like, she falls asleep, and if you hit him with it while she's falling asleep, it, like, launches them way off the stage. She has setups that will get very easy kills at low percents. Yeah. So she has really good offense and defense options.
So, has anyone gotten to a point where they're able to try to out Jigglypuff him in a tournament? Like,
there's a couple
to feed that shit back to him? Because it seems like...
man. Like, and that's the thing.
Whatever. He's just better. Like, if people fucking can't handle it, like, that dude's just better.
He is unequivocally the best player.
You can sit there and say, like, maybe that means that game sucks. Yeah. In fact.
Well, I think it means they've been playing this game for 15 years competitively, and they've, like... Because Marvel 2 got to a point where if you weren't
I guess what I'm saying is that maybe in its final form, when you've stretched the tech all the way out, maybe that final realization is just like... It's like the end of the Insane Clown Posse. You're like, oh, this was not about what I thought it was. I'm incredibly disappointed. You're like, oh, maybe Melee was actually bad all along.
Maybe. Maybe all fighting games are bad all along.
Maybe.
It's certainly...
Maybe all video games. Oh,
anything that brings people together at some point. At some point, it turns...
like a crab boil or something.
Yeah, dude, yes. Have a crab feed and a Melee tournament. Let's fucking... close the loop on this.
Evo 2019.
There you go.
Takes place at a Joe's.
Fucking Bellagio buffet.
Yeah, dude.
They're big on seafood. They're definitely going to have crab.
Make sure, don't forget the Old Bay.
Bring your own Old Bay.
Yo, he's so Old Bay. Just replace salty with Old Bay.
Because ready
Please check out my site, Old Bay Bet.
It's just two lobsters with a picture of the lobsters with the knives tied to their hands.
Just going at it.
Stop doing free advertising for this popular seasoning mix.
McCormick's, if you want us to, get on your side, you have our info.
No, they don't have our info.
It's bombcast at giantbomb.com.
There you go.
That's right. You guys ready to slide into this email inbox?
Yeah, boy.
All right, let's do it. Here's the first email. It's from Dominic in Columbus, Ohio. I was watching the MK11 quick look and seeing the third-person perspective and some of the mechanics in the Krypt. It got me wondering if NetherRealm is testing or planning for an eventual Shaolin Monks follow-up. Do you guys think that's something they would do? If not, why do you have to crush my dreams like that? I love Shaolin Monks, and with the release of games like Absolver, I've got some renewed hope that I'll get that Shaolin follow-up starring Sub-Zero and Scorpion that was canceled?
Yeah, Fire and Ice, it was called.
Sure, yes. I for a second, I thought he was implying that they are Shaolin characters.
No. Yeah, Fire and Ice. I was talking with someone who worked on Fire and Ice.
Was that announced?
Relatively recently. I don't know that it ever got announced, but it was like something they were definitely working on that got killed.
Why would they ever be player 1 and player 2 in a game?
You could write a story that brings them together. I mean, now they're friends.
Sure.
Like, that's the thing. Is like, in current Mortal Kombat, like, it makes, in fact, the chapter that they are playable in the story is literally called Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You can't bring that back only because do you think Ed Boon can really carry the Scorpion voice through an entire game?
I think he only does the get over here. I don't think he's the voice of the rest of it.
Okay. He did the voice in the movie? He did the get over here? I didn't realize that until I saw the credits.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, I don't think the Krypt signifies that they're working on new Shaolin Monks. But
maybe they should.
Maybe they should. Yeah,
Shaolin Monks is a cool game, or at least I remember it being cool.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people really like that game, and I could see some... that's the thing. Like, Warner is a big company with a lot of studios also.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily think that NetherRealm has to be the ones to make a Mortal Kombat side story. They did not make Shaolin Monks.
Right.
And so, yeah, I could see a Mortal Kombat action game coming at some point someday.
I would be down for that.
I would love to see it.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That's just a fun, dumb universe.
Yes.
It generally does not take itself very seriously.
Yeah.
I like that.
And there are a ton of characters all with their own like portions of story that you can dig into. So I think it really lends itself well to that stuff. Other than the part where most of the games where they've tried to do it have not been good.
Yeah.
Special Forces is a really bad game. I like Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, but I'm the only one.
I played through all of Shaolin Monk's 2-player, and that was a good fun
Hell of a game.
2-3 hours or whatever. Maybe longer.
I was gonna say, I
don't remember it being
seeming
that.
longer than that.
I thought we played through it in one afternoon. I could be wrong.
All right.
Hey, how did Sub-Zero get uncyborged between 9 and X? He's a cyborg at the end of 9, and then he just shows up at the beginning of X, human, without what I can remember being any explanation.
Yeah, I don't remember. Is it
Also, he's evil at the beginning.
well? Is it because because there are 2 Sub-Zeros?
Right, but one of them became Noob, right?
Right, but then in 9 it's Noob Smoke, not Noob Cybot. Or no, I'm sorry. In X it is Noob Smoke and not Noob Cybot.
Okay.
So are there things that happen at the end of 9 that kind of rejigger the timeline?
Cyborg Sub-Zero fights Noob, who used to be original Sub-Zero, at the end of 9.
Okay,
but then it's just kind of not addressed what happens to either one of them, really.
I'm sure I'm sure there is something somewhere, but also there is a line of dialogue in 11 of just like, well, yeah, I mean, I used to be a fucking robot.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think there's
okay.
There's a way back.
All right.
Or they spend some time. It's in the quick look actually. There's where we talk a little bit about a way back from that.
I can't wait to see that stuff.
I mean, fucking there are wizards and all kinds of wild shit in that universe.
Gods.
And any number of reasons why you could take a soul out of a robot and put it back in a body.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually kind of don't mind Quan Chi anymore.
Yeah,
they seem to be
made
justifying
him less annoying.
the fact that you have more than one like sniveling sidekick sorcerer running around doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all ridiculous. Speaking of which, Mo from Dubai. Who would win in a fight, Kirby or Shang Tsung?
Well, Kirby, because he would just be Shang Tsung plus Kirby.
Wait, could Kirby just inhale Shang Tsung and
get his whatever his neutral B is, which I assume is going to be morph.
He would morph into a guy who can morph into people?
I feel like that would cause everything to explode. And that he would actually, as much as he would want him to get the morph ability, he would just get the ability to throw skulls.
What if Shang Tsung morphed into Kirby and then inhaled Kirby?
Yeah.
What?
Now you're thinking this through.
Well, Kirby has a gun now, canonically, because of Joker and Smash.
And also, Shang Tsung can morph into people and do their fatalities, so, he could certainly kill someone as someone else.
You can't fatality Kirby. He's just, anything you try and do, just be like, do a fatality on a marshmallow.
You could rip a marshmallow, though.
I guess you could roast him. But yeah, you can, but it's not satisfying or cool.
Would it be toasty?
Yes, it would.
Could you take your mask off and reveal a skull and then breathe fire out of the skull at Kirby until he chars and turns into charred mess?
That's probably the only fatality. I guess fire.
Yeah. Weak to fire.
Weak to fire. Just like Sub-Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Not to keep talking about MK incessantly, but playing through 9 reminded me, like, they treat all the weird hidden identity stuff as just like a given.
Oh, yeah.
But it reminded me, like Reptile is a reptile when he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Like Melina, you see her awful fangs right off the bat.
Right.
What's the other? Like Scorpion is obviously a demon.
Yeah.
Like none of that was obvious when you played those games back in the day.
Yeah. It was just like, I'm a dude. Oh, shit, I got a skull for a face.
Like Melina and Katana were ostensibly just sisters that were kind of equal. And then you're like, oh, shit, one of them's a monster.
Yeah.
Fucking Reptile just ripped his face off and he's a lizard under there.
Well, the weird thing, I mean, like,
oh, man, that stuff was so cool.
And maybe it's just because they realize that saying it out loud robs the character of all coolness and power. But I feel like I don't know that I've heard, other than the announcer saying it, like Noob Cybot is not a thing you want to be saying out loud.
Yeah.
And so everyone just calls him Bihan, which is like original Sub-Zero's real name.
Yeah.
And maybe they should just start calling him that instead.
I like Noob Cybot.
Do you?
Like,
yeah.
Noob Cybot.
It's just, sure. At this point, it's like tradition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
It's boom backwards.
You know what?
Whoa.
I wasn't going to read this email, but now I have to. It's from Kevin. I need help from your unique combination of Mortal Kombat and early internet knowledge. Is Noob Saibot the original Noob? The first time I saw him was in Ultimate MK3 in the early 2000s when my friend presented it to me as a hacked version of the game. As I was playing Warcraft 3 at the time, I was bemused that they had named a character after noobs. However, now I am wondering if noobs were named after noob. Was the term noob as common in early internet days of IRC and Usenet before Noob Saibot appeared?
No, it's shortened for newbies.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that was the
The
term
answer-
that everyone
yeah,
used.
the answer to the
elite
question.
speak.
Yeah, the answer to the question is no, but also it did not come from Noob Saibot.
Right. No, yeah, it was. Yeah, people will talk about, oh, these, like for you newbies out there,
Yes.
do this.
I feel like, to me, like
NEWBIES.
yes. To me, like I feel like newbie is late 90s and like noob started kind of early 2000s.
And noob was usually spelled NEWB.
Yeah.
Or
for a long time.
Yeah.
I always saw it as N00B.
Yeah, and then it eventually
became
just
that. That
was
became
when
that,
I got
and
in.
now it's just basically.
Well,
that
I
or
feel like
with
now
a-
it's just NOOB.
Yeah,
Now it's just
yeah.
like a word, you
Right,
know,
yeah.
instead of an internet thing.
Now it's a word, and I hate it.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like its main, like how noob got started. It was specifically people new to the internet, right? Like
Yes.
that was kind of
Yeah.
generally,
noobs
yeah.
were.
Yeah.
Or just new to anything, like you're
Sure.
coming into some software project and how do you compile this? It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
if you're
But like generally speaking, if I was talking about the noobs out there, it's like all these people who are like finding
Right.
out about the internet.
I-
I've been on it for 4 years.
there were way more savage things to
Oh, yeah.
call
Oh,
them.
sure.
Like you would call them what they are. You would call them AOL users.
Yes.
I mean, it was
Hey, that disc is free, man. That's you're being classist
It's what you had.
in 1996
It's what you had.
to
Yep.
a 14-year-old me.
yes, yes, I am. Yes,
I looked into the etymology of newbie. And apparently, like people, like it was used in Vietnam in
Huh.
various, or it's kind of an equivalent to like FNG or whatever,
Right.
Just like new recruit type
God.
situations. So the word has been around for a long time. But
Have you guys played any Bangalore or much Apex since they changed it? Where now, if Bangalore pings something, she gives a detailed explanation of what it is and what it does.
no,
I have not played a ton of it since then, but I definitely noticed it.
It has turned. I already had a disdain for the character.
I love Bangalore.
I think she's well written. And it
Look,
works because she's the
lore
only
is
one.
right in the name.
She's
Just
the
give you
only
the
one.
backstory of every gun.
Like if there were 2 Bangalores in that character, it'd be annoying. But now she just talks so much. She talks way more than any other character
Yeah.
because she's like,
This is
Oh.
a door. It's used for opening. You can kick it, I guess.
backpack here, it gives you 2 additional slots. The blue one gives you 4 additional. It's just
I did.
like-
I did notice they just added a lot more of that in general. And
Yeah.
it feels a little bit unnecessary to me.
I guess it was something that they had pre-release and then they took out because people were
Oh.
complaining about it. But then for some reason they put it back in.
Yeah, like it's just a little too chatty now,
Yeah.
based on a little bit I've seen.
Stop Bangalore splaining this to me.
I've said it before, but she seems like their attempt to just do Vasquez from Aliens, and like that's fine by me.
Yeah. FNGs.
Yeah.
I think the first level of Call of Duty 4 is called FNG.
These civvies are. I'm Oscar Mike, and these civvies are Oscar Meyer.
Wait, is that in there?
No, that's.
Okay.
I have fun saying Bangalore lines to my friends while
Okay.
we play.
Okay. If that was in there, I would be maybe with you a little bit. That's like
A real one is clips are what
Yeah.
civvies use for their hair. I use magazines.
That
Yeah.
was
Like-
pushing it a little bit.
I subscribe to gun magazines also.
All right. Email from Hayden. Your brief mention of Shogo on the last podcast made me realize that Titanfall 2 is pretty much what a modern Shogo game would and could be. You hop in and out of giant robots, all of the villains monologue at you before the fight, and honestly, the game goes a step further into anime territory because it's about you and your robot winning through the power of friendship.
Sure.
Yeah.
Give the Titans a beam sword and you're basically set.
Give the Titans a beam sword.
Give the Titans a beam sword.
Can't the Titans just have a beam sword?
Who is taking away the beam swords from all my Titans?
They're giant
Give these
robots.
Titans beam swords.
Why did you make giant robots
The
if you're not going to give them a beam
mainstream
sword?
media doesn't want you thinking about Titans with beam swords.
They don't know what they're missing.
Shogo does.
Season 3.
Oh, I don't know about Shogo. Still, a week later.
Yeah, Shogo's
I mean, it's
a neat idea.
novel. David from the UK. As I was driving down the motorway earlier today, I saw some graffiti on a bridge that said Sega abuse. What is Sega abuse? Please help.
Those cheat codes that have you put in one cartridge and then pull it out and put another one in to turn the power off.
That is kind of rough on your console.
Every Sonic game.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
That movie?
Smacking the side of your Genesis to get that level skip in Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Or whichever Sonic that was.
I finally ended up watching the entire Larry King, Ben Schwartz interview. It's so good.
Is it?
It's so good.
Oh, I'm sorry, say again?
The Larry King, Ben Schwartz.
Oh, about Sonic the Hedgehog, it is maybe
it's
one of the funniest things I've ever
so
seen.
funny.
It's unbelievable.
He gets Larry
It's
to
incredible.
do what he would think Sonic the Hedgehog would sound like in the Sonic movie.
I'm not even going to do it. You know what? I'm not going to spoil I'm not even going to try to do it. Just go watch the... God, it's amazing.
I saw that when it went around, and it was the sort of thing that like I go like I should probably watch this, but I can't. Like I just couldn't click on
You can't
it.
look at Larry King.
Yeah,
They have
something about his presence.
They have an amazingly good rapport with each other.
They do.
To the point that I would almost watch like a regular show with the two of them on it.
buddy cops.
BB-8
Fighting
and
crime.
the King.
That's good stuff. Peter from Schaumburg, Illinois. I recently came across a Facebook post about the Super NES game Hagane: The Final Conflict for $1,500. After some quick research, I discovered the reasoning for the $1,500 price tag was due to Hagane being a Blockbuster exclusive. Can you confirm this? Is this the work of someone who made up this backstory for more profits? It has snowballed dramatically. The game looks solid, but damn. Do you know anything about that game? I mean, I looked it up. It is.
Yeah, I don't.
That is a legit, as far as I could tell, a legit origin. Also, like, let me see if. Oh no, I hope the listing didn't go down since yesterday on eBay. Here it is. Like a loose cart, like dirty and discolored plastic label, like kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Copy of that game is going for $549 on eBay. There's a complete inbox fair copy for $1,500 on here.
I wonder how much I can get for my Blockbuster exclusive copy of Clay Fighter.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Maybe not nothing.
$1,500.
Probably not.
Hang on. Do you remember what the difference was?
It was
It was
director's cut of Clay Fighters.
Sculptor's cut.
3 1/3.
cut.
Sculptor's cut. Let's find out. Like, is that? I mean, first of all, I don't even know how many like rental exclusive games there even were back then.
There was a version of Madden for the Genesis that was like Madden Champion Edition that was a rental exclusive. What else?
Ooh. Here's a copy of Sculptor's Cut for $500.
All right.
I mean, who knows if it'll actually sell?
The sentimental value of Clay Fighter is
Oh
just,
yeah, no, it's
you can't put a price tag on that.
Did you see someone on Twitter? Yeah, you responded to him. Someone out there also has a sealed copy of Magical Chase.
Yes, because they came to me thinking I was the one that had
Yeah.
it, and I said no, that wasn't me. But
I'm very
yeah.
interested to see what that sells for.
oh, is that going to dilute the market?
I mean, multiple copies of a thing always dilutes the market, right? But
Well, right up until it sells, and then
sets a price.
suddenly you're again the only person that publicly acknowledges having one.
guess. I don't
we
know.
can heist it.
Yeah, and then we sell two at the same time.
It's a bundle pack. You have to buy
yeah.
both.
I want to say Dai Katana for N64 might have been rental only in the States.
Was that Blockbuster? Probably.
I don't know. I assume, but I don't know what other. It's Eastman Video, the place down. I
I didn't see
think.
anything on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
about that.
maybe it wasn't. Maybe we just had to rent one because they weren't sending one to us.
Entirely possible.
There
wasn't like an Eternal Champions that was rental only, was
no,
there?
I don't. Well, I don't think so. But it came out on cartridge and it came out on CD, and
Yeah.
the CD version was like different. It had FMV fatalities in it.
I had
Still a bad game.
even considered the fact that there were people renting games to review.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, there were a couple cases where it was like usually like lower tier stuff that we
Yeah.
didn't necessarily need on launch day, but they're like, well, we should
License
get these stuff, go out there and
and
get it.
yeah.
I
And,
think I maybe did that when I was freelancing some,
yeah.
when it was possible.
Mhm.
Because
I remember driving out to some Blockbuster that was, well, I guess this is when we were on Clement Street, so maybe that made more sense, but it was somewhere out there in the Richmond, going to some rental store and getting like 4 games.
Here is a story on Games Radar entitled Blockbuster's Curious Collection of Exclusive Games. So there is a resource out there for you. Donkey Kong Country Competition cartridge.
What? What was that?
That was like for like an in-store competition.
Oh,
or
like score trial thing.
For the second Blockbuster World Video Game Championships, which were held in 1994.
Jan, did you ever print out at the Pokemon Snap?
Oh, the little
sticker
kiosk.
stations?
Hell yeah, it did.
Yeah, that was the shit.
I never
got
went and
mad at
did
me.
it. I played the shitload out of Pokemon Snap, but I never went to a Blockbuster to do it. I think the one near me didn't have the station.
Oh, yeah.
I had to go to my cousin's to use his N64 because I didn't have one, just to go to the vestibule. Worth it.
Yeah. I remember they had that, and then they eventually had the, like, what was it called? Hey You Pikachu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The microphone.
Yeah, they had like an in-store thing for that. That was pretty cool.
There's a lot of these. Eek the Cat for SNES.
Okay.
Blockbuster exclusive. The crazy part is the photo they have is of a Super Famicom cart.
Well, it may
Or
have
maybe
come
that's-
out in other territories, but
okay.
the U.S. version,
Because European carts looked like Japanese carts. Is
Yes.
that right? Okay.
it probably was just the case that like when it came time to put it out in the U.S., they were like, oh, no retailer will stock our game because we're nearing a saturation point on the SNES.
Sure.
But Blockbuster will take some.
How about Mr. Nuts with the
Oh,
Z?
yeah? Is Mr. Nuts a rental exclusive?
He's a squirrel.
Yeah, he's a squirrel.
That squirrel's crazy.
Final Fight Guy, listed as a limited exclusive.
Hmm.
Ren and Stimpy Show Fire Dogs.
Oh, God.
There's like 3 pages of these Blockbuster exclusives. That's wild. I'm going to look at the rest of those later. Chandler from Colorado Springs. It's great to see 2 great Tetris games released in close proximity that don't seem to tread on each other's territory. However, it's a bit ironic that about 2 months after Giant Bomb gave the 2019 crown to Tetris Effect, a new Tetris game drops, and a Battle Royale no less. Has Tetris 99 become the new go-to Tetris game for the staff? And if so, how does looking back on last year's top choice feel now, given this new context? I'm not trying to get spicy, as there is plenty of love to go around for both games, but you have to think that if 99 releases just a couple months earlier, the awards play out differently.
I don't think that.
Yeah, I don't know that it would have.
I
I
like
probably
Tetris
still would
99,
go
but
to. I probably would still go to Tetris Effect.
That's a tough choice for me now, because I'm playing Tetris 99 obsessively.
Well, I think I go to both games for different reasons,
Totally.
and I haven't
Very different.
actually played. Like I think Tetris 99 is cool, but I have not played it since launch week.
I am playing way too much of it.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm finishing top. Do you still playing much?
I picked it back up a little bit after that. UPF, played a few games, haven't gone back.
I think I'm finishing top 10, like probably half and half now.
Nice.
I got 2 second place finishes in a row the other day, which fucking made me want to die.
You'll get that victory royale.
I'm not there yet, but I'm close. That game is fucking good. It's really good. It's really good. Might be my game of the year.
But it's free. It doesn't qualify.
Well, you gotta pay for it.
You got to pay for the service, Ben.
Yeah, but that's not the game.
It counts. It was published by Nintendo.
I got a free year of Nintendo through Twitch Prime.
Twitch
You're
Prime.
paying for the service of Twitch and Amazon.
It's not. No, I'm not.
Oh shit!
Whoa.
Damn, so you can get a free year of or Nintendo and watch Marvelous Ms. Maisel? Shit.
You're joking, but the Tick is a fine TV show. Everyone should check it out. Amazon streaming.
So is Marvelous Ms. Maisel. It's a good show.
All right.
You're just messing with me.
No, not this time.
This is a long email, but I think it's worth it because it explains the situation very well, and this is a bizarre situation. Wesley in San Diego. If you didn't see last week, a news story was broken by MassivelyOP.com about the leak of a supposed private server of the MMORPG City of Heroes that was shut down about 7... Oh, actually... I'm sorry. He's saying City of Heroes was shut down 7 years ago, not the private server was shut down.
Mm.
The private server is purported to have been running for that whole 7 years. For the past 7 years, we were told that a private or emulated server was impossible, rendering the game otherwise lost to time. Allegedly, a developer that did not want the game to die decided to leak the source code of the game's server and client, as well as a functional database of the existing retail games accounts and characters to one man. This one man then ran a completely secret, fully functional version of the game via a super exclusive, heavily NDA'd private cabal of players he deemed worthy. For 7 years, while other dedicated coders were attempting to reverse engineer or recreate the game from scratch, someone in the community had an actual copy of the game running. Until last week, when one bored player by the name of Destroyer on YouTube decided he was tired of playing in such a small group and started openly talking about the game, much to the dismay of the guy running the server. The last several days have consisted of lots of talk on Reddit, yelling, witch hunts, etc., until out of the blue, the guy decides to give the code to the people. Within hours, a functional server was up for people to play on, and the community has come together to bring back a beloved MMO from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
This is not your average emulated server. This was built with NCSoft's actual code. The craziest part was not only that the guy released his own patch content over the years, but how quickly a team of about 60 fans have recompiled the spaghetti code from 2005 to run on modern cloud server hardware in about 24 hours. I would love to hear some thoughts after all those discussions of source code hiding in ceilings.
Cool.
Yeah, basically.
Not cool that it was running in secret for all this time.
I bet that guy. Well, I was gonna say he's not very popular, but also he's the guy who put the code out. So
sure, yeah,
maybe he cleared
it's
his name.
Complicated.
I mean, he's probably scared of getting like sued, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
like that is yes the legal aspect of this. Like NCSoft is not exactly a small company.
No.
And you would assume I don't know, protect their trademark, or who knows what they would do to you if they found. Also, the guy who gave him the code might also be very.
Sure.
Yeah, because maybe they could link. Maybe there's a very clear link between the two. You know,
if the corporation could figure out which former employee leaked all this stuff.
So I'm sorry. Is it? So now anyone can.
Yeah, there is now a public.
There's stuff out
public,
there.
Has
server up.
NCSoft said anything about
Not
this?
that I have seen.
They're probably still in like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah.
What game? None of us worked here 7 years ago.
I saw someone who is a occasional caller to the after show saying that now the modern server can actually support more players than the game could originally.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We should check this out.
That's incredible.
Well, we still can.
That's
I never played,
crazy.
and it always looked cool.
It's a pre-World of Warcraft MMO. Like that's
Mm.
kind of crazy in itself.
Yeah, it was
before WoW like changed.
It was
MMOs.
good. It was neat.
Yeah.
I wonder by today's standards if it would actually be fun to play still in a modern context, or is it more just an interesting curiosity?
It's just it's kind of wild that people still care about it that much. Because it is from before MMOs. Like,
So I wonder,
does
this run, because City of Villains with the expansion or the other thing they put out after the fact?
Oh,
and I
God.
wonder if this runs all that stuff, or if it's just like, assuming it came from around the time of the shutdown. I would assume. I think City of Villains was still the same servers and logins, but maybe it was a separate game. I can't remember.
I would assume it was the same.
It's totally cool that this community has opened up, because now this means people who are really passionate about it can work on it. Maybe we'll see some like cool mods and stuff. The possibilities are really open, and
or the stuff's out there in a way that, like, if you really wanted to, you could launch your own server and just connect to it alone and just run around and just see it.
Sure.
Which is not going to be the same thing as like a fully populated world. But what are you going to do?
That's assuming
it works as like a preservationist sort of.
Yeah. That's assuming those people decide to put like server binaries out there. Well, if the code is available publicly, maybe somebody will do it.
Yeah, because that's the thing with you can get the server software to run a Phantasy Star Online Blueburst server.
Well, yeah,
easily.
But if it's just source code out there, not many people are going to be equipped to take that and do anything with it.
I mean, even the World of Warcraft stuff is in a state where at some point you could just download an installer and install a World of Warcraft server.
Right. I don't see anything that says that anybody has done that for this yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
MassivelyOP.com has a bunch more. They appear to be following this story closely. As of yesterday, the server was down over a fake legal threat. But the admins say they are bringing it back.
Okay.
So I just saw this. I haven't read the story. I don't know what the fake legal threat was.
And it's just someone probably representing claiming to represent NCSoft, saying no.
Yikes. My hands are shaking as I type this up, so please bear with me. This is from apparently when they thought the threat was real.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. That's a weird, cool, strange situation.
But also, yeah, these are all going to be weird rogue things that, will exist until NCSoft does threaten action, and then, that stuff's going to go back underground in some way, but probably not to the extent that it was before.
Yeah. Mark in New York. On a recent trip, I checked into my hotel room in a big American city, went to my assigned room, and I legit had a gentleman sitting on the bed.
Hey.
What made me write to you was that he was playing a Switch.
Fully nude.
I had mine too, and in hindsight, I could have discussed what games we were playing. Of course, we were both in shock, and I quickly turned around and exited directly to the lobby. This leads me to ask you, what was the strangest thing or person you've found in a hotel room?
Wait.
I know, that's the end of the email. Yes.
Yeah, what?
I know, I definitely came out of this going wait, what's the resolution of this story?
The resolution is you go back downstairs and say,
tell
there's
them,
someone in the room you fucking gave me.
I assume they just
and then
gave
the
him
guy comes down and goes, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What if that guy killed me?
I assume that's all it is that they accidentally assigned him to a room.
That is, I've heard of this exact thing happening before.
I can't imagine it's more nefarious than that, but
I can.
But it's possible.
Oh my God, this reminds me. We'll get to the question, or I guess this is kind of an answer to the question, but I was going to go see a movie recently with some friends, and this was at one of those theaters where you choose your seats when you get your tickets. And it was like a new movie, packed theater. We get up, and there's people in the spot. And usually it's like, okay, I'll dig out my ticket and show you, like, now I'm on G 6, 7, and 8. And then the guy pulled out his ticket, and he said, I'm on G 6, 7, and 8. And so I was just thinking to myself, oh God, what's going on? Okay, and so I'm like, okay, to me and my friends, let's just go walk over to customer service, tell them what's up.
Yeah.
As I'm walking over, I pull out my ticket and I look at it even more closely, and I realize I had gotten it for the previous night on those 3 seats.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, okay, well, let's just go back in there and see if we can find 3 seats. Like, I didn't feel bad because I paid for the ticket, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm going in, I'm going to see the movie I paid for. I was very quickly morally over it. And as we were walking back, the door opens to the theater, and it's the guy who was in our seats. And he walks up. He's like, hey, did you guys figure out what's wrong? I was going to go over to customer service and just to see if you guys figured out. Do you want to walk over there together? And at this point, I didn't want to tell a dude that, no, I'm actually sneaking back into this theater to see it because I bought it for the wrong day. And so I just started talking, and I don't even remember what I was like. Oh, there was just a mitball, and my friends were like, why just stop talking to this dude and go inside? And I just gave this really long, I basically bored him until he was
Smart.
just like, okay, I'm going to leave you alone now and go back inside.
A simple, no, we're good.
Yeah, like literally anything. But of course, I started panicking and creating this very elaborate story that I'm sure was just like, I looked like a high person trying to like
That's
justify
fine too. Whatever.
I guess
I just tell them you
Let that person think you're a very high person.
tell them you read the seat wrong. Couple more.
Yeah.
Mark. Back in the early 2000s, I worked for a major game store chain in Massachusetts. It was located in a mall near one of Steven Tyler's homes.
Ooh.
One day about an hour after my shift ended, my manager texted me explaining that Steven Tyler had just made a purchase at our store. He spent about $600 on PS1 games well after the PS2 was out. One of the games he bought was a Kiss game. Sadly, I can't remember which one. I assume Steven Tyler had met the members of Kiss, so it's funny to think of him playing as them in a game. Also, he left behind one of his bags with about $200 worth of stuff. He never came back for it, and we had no way of contacting him. So the bag sat in the back room of the store until one of the more terrible employees finally stole it. Any idea which Kiss game that might have been?
Kiss game on PS1 would have been Psycho. No, that was Dreamcast.
Psycho Circuit is the only one I know.
Yeah, and I think that was a Dreamcast and
was
PC
a pinball game.
Yeah, Kiss Pinball.
Kiss Pinball for Sony PlayStation. That I'm going to say that.
Yeah,
He just
that
thought it was a
exists.
pinball game about kissing ladies.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he bought
That's
it.
probably it.
Honkin' on Bobo pinball was sold out.
Once again, an email leaves you wanting. What was in that bag?
Other PS1 games.
Oh, like a bag of
Yeah.
his goods. I thought he left a bag full of.
Oh,
drugs.
He means like one of the bags of stuff he had just bought. Okay, I was envisioning.
that
Yeah,
makes
I
more
was
sense.
also envisioning like a duffel bag. Like, what is Steven Tyler carrying around at
And
the mall?
only $200 worth of drugs? That seems low for Steven Tyler.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
especially in the PS1, PS2 era.
I'm gonna say this has to be the last email
Has to.
ever. Also, this person didn't ask to be anonymous, but I'm gonna not say their name. On a recent weekend getaway, my wife and I met some friends and had a fun-filled day planned of copping some new sneakers, day drinking, and then going out to a restaurant we all wanted to try. We had planned an early dinner, so we did not think we would need to make reservations, and when we arrived, admittedly looking like assholes, wearing our finest hype, holding our shoe bags, and my friend carrying his new Fuji X-T3 in a gimbal,
Oh, what a dick.
we sadly discovered the place was packed. The person working the front told us it was reservation only and we would have to make them for another weekend. So then I did something I am not proud of. I told them we were lifestyle bloggers and we had thousands of Instagram followers and we wanted to feature them, and they bought it.
No.
They even gave us free food, never even asking what the Instagram account was. So did I become a monster or defeat one? I think I defeated one because my Instagram account is just full of random pics and I have like 16 followers. We are just lame sneakerheads, not lifestyle bloggers. And my friend had his camera because it was new and he wanted to try it out before he took it to work at his job filming and photographing corporate events and media.
Sometimes to defeat a monster, you must become one. And that's exactly what happened.
I think so. Yeah,
It's on them.
I have a headache after reading this email.
Here's what the only reason I don't feel bad is because there's so many steps along that process that the restaurant could have wised up.
They didn't do their due diligence.
Ask what the account is.
right. Just what's
That-
the
there's
account? Let me
number
look
one.
at it.
Yeah,
Done.
like, oh, do you actually, or are you lying?
Yeah.
Would I do something like this? No, but did the restaurant have a chance to verify this?
I mean, you lied. So out of the gate, you're
Yeah.
kind of in the wrong there. But
Like,
the restaurant had multiple opportunities, multiple steps in that chain where they could have said, like,
This-
wait, what?
This sounds like something out of a Ferris Bueller remake.
Prove it. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yes.
Like, this is
oh,
some-
God.
Oh, it's
Oh,
a
God.
modern
I know.
Ferris
Oh,
Bueller's.
God, it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
It totally is,
I shouldn't
isn't
have
it?
even said. My girlfriend asked me over the weekend.
Except that, the problem is that Ferris Bueller in a modern Ferris Bueller remake actually is an influencer
You're probably
and
right.
actually has the followers.
Me and my girlfriend were talking this weekend about the possibility that they would ever try to reboot or remake Ferris Bueller, and I wish I had never said those words.
outside of that car commercial.
oh, yeah.
I think that, well, there's still the issue. My only issue with doing, like, I support your decision ultimately, listener. I think you did a good thing. The only thing I don't like about it is there's people who really do that.
Yeah.
And, like, they walk up to restaurants and
Yeah.
say, give me free food. I'm a Yelp
Totally.
Elite member,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
flash their card. And I think that's gross
Wait,
and shitty.
Yelp what?
Elite.
Oh, do they have that now?
Oh, yeah.
I've definitely heard stories about people like threatening their Yelp numbers at restaurants trying to get free stuff.
See, that to me is crossing the line. And like the way he tells the story, and this is, we heard it from the listener only, but like they weren't trying to get free food. They were just trying to get a spot at the restaurant.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, we've come up with this elaborate plan to scam this restaurant out of a meal. It was just like, no, there were a bunch of jerk-offs who wanted to go eat at a fancy restaurant and had an idea.
I hope they tipped well.
Yeah.
Because they got the free food.
Yes.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
part, like, getting
Yeah.
the free, getting in, it's all right. It's a little bit great for me, but then getting the free food.
If you want to get this like karmically closer to
Yeah,
neutral,
yeah,
then
totally.
you're probably like tipping what you think
Yes,
the food
go
would
some-
cost.
some at
and a
least
half.
at least yeah.
Have I done a similar thing at Outside Lands? Yes. Have I printed my own media badge that was fake? Yeah. But like I bought stuff to kind of even it out.
I mean, I fibbed about my age to get into my first E3. I was not technically supposed to be in there because I was not 18.
That's a victimless
whatever.
crime.
Yeah, that was not such a big deal.
Yeah, like lying about your age to get into a bar.
Yeah, again, a victimless crime. The only victim is you in that
Yeah.
one. Well, unless you
Wow.
yeah.
The lady working at the badge pickup was like a very nice grandmotherly older lady said, "Are you sure you're 18?" I was like, "I think so."
It's like pinching your cheeks.
It was
to check.
basically that kind of interaction. And
Yeah.
then she was like, "Here you go." Do you want to? At the end of the email, he says, "Also, the shoes I copped were."
Okay, what
do
do
you
you
want?
get?
Do you want to know?
Did he say what gimbal his friend was using?
No, he did not.
Damn it. It matters.
Let's hear it. I probably won't even know what you.
Adidas Rivalry, is that high or HI? Do you know what I'm talking about?
High. Yeah.
Okay. Adidas Rivalry High. Adidas Night Joggers Ice Mint colorway.
Oh.
Okay.
Adidas Lexicon Clear Brown colorway. Nike Air Tailwind 79. Jordan 11's Snakeskin Blue.
Not a fan.
And Puma Clyde Court Miami colorway.
What are you even doing?
Pumas are your grails, bro?
I think everything that everybody just said was made up, personally.
If this happened in LA, that
Can't-
restaurant deserves it.
That I think I can get behind.
Maybe a location is a factor here
think
too.
he didn't say where he was, but he's definitely not from LA. I can tell you that.
Okay.
So
Because then Los Angeles should know that by now. If you're a restaurant
yeah,
or establishment, you should know people are going to try and pull the influencer card all the time.
Yeah.
And seeing people do that, seeing people use it to like get their like free vacations and shit, just because they posted pictures of it, or I'm usually on the side of the restaurants that come out and say, "We're not fucking doing that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Get the fuck," like writing their long screeds about how like influencers and Yelp elites and all this other horse shit.
Did you guys see that article a few months back about the Instagrammer who was chronicling she got like a free cruise ship thing because she was gonna like post Instagram pics from the cruise ship, and then she got arrested for having like pounds of cocaine with her while she was doing it.
What? No, she got that for free. It's fine.
wait, how much?
Pounds,
Wow,
plural.
wow.
Now that's influential.
You know, I'm going to look that up on my own time, but I'm going to look that up. All right, that's it for it. We can't read any more emails after that.
Okay.
Bombcast@giantbomb.com. Thanks to everyone except maybe that guy for writing in.
Like he's a monster, but also society has taken a fucking dark turn, so
True.
exploiting that.
Oh, that lady has been sentenced.
Oh no.
I hope you I hope you tipped well.
Yes, for sure.
If at all.
We got a brief after show coming up.
Yeah, we'll be around for a bit to take some questions and.
So I gotta go see a man
Comments.
about drilling me in the mouth.
That's right.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap things up here then. She is looking it up to 8 years.
Ooh.
In case you were wondering.
That ain't that long.
Mandatory minimum of 4 years and 9 months. All right. That's it for influencer time. Is there a podcast about influencers?
It is called the Giant Bombcast Aftermath.
Okay.
Stay tuned. If you're watching live, we'll be on in minutes.
Are there influencers?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to stop this podcast. Thanks for listening.